Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's so close to July 4th holiday.
The other three.
East Long Meadow's gearing up. Parade's not on the 5th, contrary to popular discussion. It is on the 4th. But welcome, and at your places, and then is Mr. Crucial online?
No.
Not yet? Okay. So we'll wait.
He had an email that said it's going to be a few minutes.
Oh, okay. We'll dive in and make a lot of decisions before you get there. At your places, we do have minutes. If everybody could peruse those, we'll take a motion to approve. That was quick.
Pretty fast.
We have a second?
Second.
Not next to
God.
I know. It's no good.
Sorry.
Sorry. Of your plan. Straight here, team. Come on.
Any discussion? All right, I think no one's online. We could probably just still have no one online.
You want to bring Victoria's in, right?
It's me, Victoria.
She's not voting. Don't have to do a roll call vote. Beautiful. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
And one abstention. Thank you. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Moving on, public participation. We don't have anyone in the immediate gallery and online. Anybody raising their hand? No. We're moving right along. Beautiful. All right, so we'll go to Skanska's updates. Need to.
So regrettably, Ben can't be here today. He had a death in the family, so
Oh, sorry.
yeah, uncle or something like that. So he's in services now. So as you all know, we're nearing the end of schematic design. We're going to be getting into estimating and then into the deliverable to the MSBA. So that's all at the footstep of now and then the vote in November. So entering a very critical part of the schedule. I did get a call from the MS. They want to have a call with us tomorrow about the October deliverable. I'm not sure why, but
Over deliverable.
yeah, I'm looking for the email right now.
Hey, wants to have a call?
Yeah, well, they contacted Ben and I
Call around them.
about the schedule.
That's right. Calling from the.
I'll keep my comments.
So I got a call with them tomorrow afternoon. Chris Ailes, you know Chris? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. See if I can find. I can't find it, but we can chat before.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing on the schedule, and someone had mentioned this offline outside of a meeting, but just seen in our presentation. If you go to the November 7th vote, where is it? We're not appropriating the project costs there, right? Isn't the 7th vote for the debt exclusion?
Correct.
It would be a town council vote to appropriate the money, and then the 7th vote. I mean, it's all in fine print, and I don't know how many people are picking up on it, but I think the more we present, we just want to make sure that people know when they go to the polls that they're looking at a debt exclusion, and town council will have already voted to appropriate whatever the budget is that we determine at the end of schematic design.
No, I think it's the action of the voters that creates the approval, the appropriation.
No, it authorizes debt exclusion.
Yeah.
Only, all it says is that the town may exceed the limit of Proposition 2.5 in order to pay for the bond.
By that amount, right?
No amount.
No amount.
No amount.
The amount will not be in the wording?
No.
But I think you can put information out about the question.
I think the amount's in the wording, which
Definitely is in the wording for the town.
is what the town approves.
It is not in wording on the ballot question.
Yeah, no?
No.
Oh,
I thought it was a surprise too.
That's why,
Surprised that it has to be in the wording to appropriate.
for the council, correct.
But I was always under the impression that the number would appear for the voters to see how much they're voting to exclude.
But all they're voting on
Is to
is
exclude.
to exclude.
To allow that project to
Allow
be
that,
excluded.
Right.
Wouldn't you, though, also, have those questions you're voting on?
Don't want
You have the question, and then there's always a supplemental explanation. Wouldn't you put that in the supplemental explanation that's attached?
What, the wording?
You know,
Go ahead. No, I'm just going, because I did
No, I know
this morning on this.
I know,
Because it's part of what we're going to get to later in terms of getting the information out to the public.
right.
So the wording for a debt exclusion in Massachusetts is very specific. Now, the amount on an override, it would be listed.
would be different.
For a capital exclusion, which is for a 1-year term,
Right.
it would be listed. But on a debt exclusion, you're just authorizing to exceed the limit of 2.5.
Okay,
So it's not on the ballot.
interesting.
My take on that, I just whispered to Pam, is we run the risk then. I respect if it can't be in for some legitimate reason, but I can see a voter coming in and saying, you're not even going to tell me how much I'm voting to exclude? Then I'm not voting for this.
Yeah.
Despite however much advertising we do.
I think somehow I wonder if there's a way to word it so you can,
So that's
that's
either a Genie or an AG question, but
There must be, do you have wording from prior votes by chance?
Yeah, that's what I was
If
wondering.
you put Jordan, if you want to, I can share a sample ballot from Concord who did this in 2022.
you want me to get
I got the wording right here.
Yeah, I can put up on the.
Yeah, okay.
It's good enough.
On the middle school
I'm out.
project?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jump on there.
So Helen, I found an email. They want to talk about the board meeting in October.
Oh, October board meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I assume we're going to hold the schedule that we have, right? So I don't know if there's some reason they don't want us in October or who knows?
Maybe they have to go through their usual
Yeah.
requirements. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this was from February for Concord Middle School.
Is that what you're saying? Same wording?
Yeah. Yep.
I wonder if they had any kind of information.
Well, there's the ballot. There's no other information on the ballot.
Well, they've been doing what we've been doing, right? Public forum and
Yeah.
obviously town council vote. And so we'll that's the sort of, I guess, on us then to get that number out.
Get that number out as much as possible.
It's going to be both numbers too.
Have to
because
be a
the
headline
same.
and remind you before.
Like or an insert.
Yeah, dude,
Oh, maybe an insert's better.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like pink
Exactly.
paper or something. It stands out.
With the ballots?
Like in the reminder.
Do it in the water bills,
Yeah.
too. We've done that in the past, too.
Okay. Yeah, I think we have to get it out there.
Any mailing that goes out from here on in
It's information.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got the tax bill,
Yep.
August, so November would be no, it wouldn't be too late. It would come in October. But anytime we can get an insert in, probably should do that.
With the cost and the potential grant from the MSBA. That was another thing. I know it's coming up under communication, but people are not understanding going it alone, what the MSBA is really giving to this. We'll hold on that thought. All right, thank you. Back to the schedule.
Kathy, that's all we're planning on the ballot for that ballot, right? There's no.
That's it. There's no other elections that are pertinent to us.
So,
The other thing that came up is this gentleman, I'm looking for his name now, Ben talked with, who's had many questions about the funding of the project.
Ross Levine?
Yeah, he wants to meet with Ben and presumably go through 3011. We're very uncomfortable, Ben and I, meeting with him without someone
I think Steve Crucial's gonna,
who could be
Steve
present.
and I talked about that.
Yeah.
He said that he would.
I'm not sure how much information we want to,
I'm gonna try to answer some of that at the next forum, right?
Right.
yeah.
I mean,
It's like a gnat.
I guess respectfully, it's hard to with everyone that has a question.
Right.
Not that,
No.
not that the questions aren't valid, it's just, that's a lot of time for staff.
More information, and we just gave Mr. Levine a good deal of information. Ben gave him a
Yep.
ton of information, and so there's follow-up questions that I think he was asking. But I think if we use that, and I think Victoria, who is online, is trying to incorporate that into the frequently asked questions.
Yep.
So maybe we can lean on that too.
I just didn't want to get into a situation where, oh, you met with him, how come you're not meeting with me? And
True. Good
blah, blah,
point.
blah.
Just, the MSBA fund and the 3011 and the whole funding agreement is extremely complicated.
Right.
So I don't want to send someone,
When is the next one? Did we have this come?
No.
Because I spoke with him once, and I'd certainly be happy to speak with him again. I think he has reasonable concerns, but I agree with you that we don't want to go down a rabbit hole with everyone all the time. So if he could wait till the forum, certainly I could meet with him then, and with Ben or whatever. Or something.
and, we're glad to meet with them, but we would just like someone from the
someone.
committee to be present.
I think Ben and Steve spoke
Okay.
earlier today. All right.
So
Puts us
right now
back
we don't
into
have,
schedule. All right.
I didn't have any other comments. Anyone have any specific questions? Or it's the same schedule that we've been.
Same schedule.
Yeah.
Just,
Can we make that one change just on the November 7th?
you want that to read.
The word appropriation should come out of.
Yeah,
Debt exclusion.
yeah, town vote for debt exclusion.
And then and then the vote by the town council, does that follow?
Oh, no, it's right there. Town council,
October.
it's on the 12th.
Which,
Town council vote to approve budget and ballot question.
okay, then we're good.
can you all
On the
hear me?
12th of October.
November, or September, it's got it.
Fair enough.
And that'll be both questions, correct?
Right. Both
And
questions.
Oh, yeah, and the.
Right.
It says town council vote to approve budget and ballot question language. Questions.
Victoria has her hand.
I'm not sure if you're able to hear me or not.
Just a couple things on the schedule. I know you've all seen it and you've all internalized it, but, yep,
I didn't hear you. Victoria has a question.
oh,
Can you hear me? You guys hear me?
you did.
She's not muted.
Huh?
Victoria.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk. It says I'm not muted, but maybe you're,
I should be.
maybe the audio isn't connected in there.
Do we have that?
Yeah, the sound, laptop's not muted.
Pass it down.
Take one, pass it down.
Testing.
So we're changing all TVs now.
Yeah, all of a sudden, all these will turn off.
Click the speaker in the upper right. Change it to Samsung.
Oh. No, all those special features. It's nice.
It's right on here. Yeah, Samsung.
She's got to talk.
Can you hear me now?
Victoria,
There you go.
Can you hear me now? Thank you. I was just going to say that same language on the vote is also on our schedule graphic, the more bar chart one. So we'll update that as well.
Okay, thank you.
And I heard there was a question about if we're having a community forum. We don't have one planned. We don't have one scheduled for the summer. I think we were going on the assumption that we wouldn't get a good turnout during the summer months, so would plan one for September. And obviously at that point, the SD package would already be submitted. So at that meeting, it would be more of a report out, not to get feedback. But I think today in our communications agenda item, we wanted to talk about a plan for getting some sort of communications out this summer for hopefully to get some more community feedback and keep folks informed on the cost, answer some of these questions that have been coming up.
Okay. All right. You had comments on schedule?
The only thing I was going to say was the team is entering a very critical phase of cost estimating. So the drawings go to the two estimators on the 11th of July. They get 3 weeks to estimate, reconcile, presumably have conversations about value engineering thereafter. That all will need to happen before the 15th, which is when we really need to know the number that Skanska needs to report to the MSBA prior to the submittal on the 31st of August, so.
Do we meet after the reconciliation of the
I-
two
There's some
estimators?
conversation around getting a smaller working group together to dig into the details of the
Because we had
estimates.
talked about opportunities to make modifications based on cost.
Yep.
That would be our only opportunity.
Yep, we still have some time.
Did we leave the turf, extra turf field lights in the project? Is that in there?
We did not.
Okay, good.
We have infrastructure plan, we'll get a number for the
Okay.
lights so that we know what that is.
Great.
Sorry.
Good to be off. I'm waiting to.
Brian, can I ask you to just behind your laptop? No, on this side is the microphone.
Oh,
If you could just move it between you and Helen, just slide it over there to your left. Perfect. Thank
Okay, the
you.
other side of the camera, start barking out orders.
Okay.
Gordon's the same.
Gordon's the same. Yeah.
What's that?
Chef Mike. There you go.
I had purposely put.
Laptops are the bane of my existence.
I know where the hot mics are.
So over the course of the weeks, we've been meeting, with various subgroups, experts, and have developed a list of items that we would like to see as proprietary, meaning not opened up to, multiple options in the bid documents. And you can go to the next one. And there may be an amendment to this list based on something I heard from Ryan today, but essentially in meeting mainly with Ryan and Bruce, this was the list of items that already exist in the district. So with the new school, you'd have a legitimate reason to want to sole source, just have this single item in the bid documents as proprietary, meaning not open to competition. So this is the list. And I don't know, John, if it's a package, if it needs to be one by one, and if, Ryan, you did want to make an amendment to the list based on something I heard you say today.
Yeah, would be for the door access system to Scratch and Phineas.
Okay.
We've been struggling with it this week, so.
What about, I know I sent you a new proposal, I met with CTC, our BMS vendor for the town. That new proposal
CTC, BMS.
is conserve through control. It's for our building automation system for the new building. I know we sent us a new proposal to upgrade our existing system. Is that still going to be structureware based on that? We have to look at that. I just want to let you know.
Okay.
Because there's been some changes again to the,
We've had clients specify controls vendors. So if CTC is doing everything in town, you may want to, specify them.
no, it's not the vendor itself. It's just the software.
It may
We
not,
have it in every other building in town. We don't want to use another or a different system. So I will confirm that with them and get it to you guys.
So Helen, we do need the building committee to vote on this, and we need to record that and
Right.
put in the minutes and send it to the MSBA. They're going to require that.
Exactly.
Individually, it's a whole list.
I don't know. I think we can do it as a whole list.
I would think so too. But are you saying, Bruce, that we want to hold on number one?
Structure, yeah, structureware. I just need to confirm that if it's still the same.
The proposal is still structureware.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right.
so keep one then?
The controllers.
So one is in,
Take two.
two out.
Correct.
Vote now?
You don't have
That would help. I mean,
some from building to building?
It's will be a good opportunity to change vendors.
I see.
So you're not going to use the same vendor that you have everywhere else?
We would change, the new high school would be our transition to a new vendor.
Okay, gotcha.
For everyone or just the high school?
I would start at the high school, then.
Build them out.
So you recognize you're not going to have a choice in that then?
right.
We have to have three as equals, and it's going to be a bid, and whoever the electrician carries, you're going to end up with.
Yeah, well, that, like you said, our access cards and everything else, and what if you have to get all new access cards for the whole town?
Yeah, that's hopefully not. That's a lot. Okay, so then.
I mean, we can scratch two for now and vote on that at a future meeting if
What's
you want
going
to
to
do a little more research.
He has
What's
to
gonna
find
change?
out the three vendors he wants.
I'd have to find pick the vendor we want to, like, I have an idea where I want to go, but
Oh,
obviously I'm
vote on the vendor later, you're saying?
right.
But get this to the MSBA, you're saying, without
Get a vote.
two?
We can do it again in a later phase. It doesn't have to be this moment, but if you know it now, as we go into cost estimating, there's a little premium
Yes.
for not having open competition. So it's just, again, good information. If you know it now, we could
Yeah.
proceed.
So I can say where we more than likely are going to go. No, I just haven't fully vetted it and tried it.
Yeah.
As long as we're not married to it 100% at this point, if we vote on it.
Well,
You're talking vendor, though,
Vendor,
not program.
I would suggest.
product.
Taking it out.
I would suggest you scratch 2 and make a motion to vote for 1 through 8, without 2.
Yep.
And then we can adjust, we can do 2 later.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
So I'd move that we accept the proposed proprietary items as listed, numbered 1 through 8, excluding number 2 Infineous for the door access system.
Second.
Victoria, were you able to get that motion?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Thank you. I only got that Greg made a motion. All right. Stephen?
Yes.
Okay, so then we'll go roll call vote on the motion that Mr. Thompson just made, approving this list with the exception of number 2, Infineous. Roll call, Mr. Crucial.
I will abstain.
Abstain, okay. I'm a yes. Ms. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Hill?
Yes.
Absent. Mr. Fenny?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Quimby?
Yes.
Mr. Christensen?
Yes.
Okay, the yeses have it.
Okay.
Have a list.
Have a list. Excellent. Okay.
Moving on.
Right along. Okay, so I think most of you met Brian Black from SMFA. He's a designer and architect, and he's going to provide an update on the exterior development.
Thanks, Helen. Yeah, I felt like I'm here so infrequently. I needed that
Reintro.
reintroduction, but
Yeah.
great to be back with you. And I get to present some fun material tonight. So hopefully it's a bit exciting to imagine what, a real building might start to look like. So when we talk about the exterior design, which is going to include some elements that are sort of massing elements, and there's a bit of a sculptural process, and then there's also the application of materials. And I have materials laid out over here on the table. I think there'll be time, sort of at the end for everyone to walk up and touch and feel and smell, whatever you want to do with the materials. We could pass them around, but it's probably better to just leave them in their sets where they are. So that's going to be, I think, a new sort of leap for us to think about colors and materials. So
The insets where those are connected materials, so you wouldn't be able to separate, or?
well, there are 2 schemes there.
Okay.
So you'll see 2 groups of the same type of material
Okay.
represented, as 2 different palettes, so to speak. There are extra materials, so we can, if you feel like changing out something and trying, different mix and match, that's possible too.
Okay.
So at this stage, it's important to understand the context of we're about to submit some documents for a pricing check. So we're not here to select final materials by any means, or even, even select any material. It's really types of materials that translate to dollar amounts in the budget. So we want to do that correctly. We want to maybe even hold some things that might be a little more valuable, that maybe, later, if you have to give them up, is not going to be heartbreaking. Costs don't tend to go down, so it's always good to plan ahead and think about, if we had to reduce, what would it be, right? So we're going to have some different options, and we can even project ahead. In the future, if we can't afford this, what would it be? So there's ABC. So that's the underlying context, and hopefully that helps everyone relax and kind of make it enjoyable. And just really, we want to get as much feedback as we can from everyone in terms of, I like this pattern, I like that color, I don't like whatever it is. So
Sorry, I already have a question. I'm such a visual person. Do you have pictures of?
Yeah.
Okay, that would
we
make me
have
happy.
about 38 slides of,
Come.
All right.
so I should get to it.
Hey, let's go.
But it's also the result of the team collaborating. You've seen the plans. Schematic design is a very plan-heavy process. We're taking it into 3 dimensions. But we've been working closely with the JWA team, with regular meetings, and we're sharing one model for all of the drawing, information that you see. So there's some degree of coordination. We're not 100% by any means, but it's been a team process.
Heather has a
I'm just looking at all the things that we're trying to keep in mind before we fall in love with something aesthetically. Are they all kind of equally easy maintenance? I mean, are they kind of on par that way and on par cost wise, or are we looking at a broad range?
Not completely, but there are definitely materials that we kind of rule out as not sensible.
Yeah.
For a school. Things have to be extremely durable.
Yeah.
And if we show something that's a metal panel, that would never be down where anyone can touch it, or once you make a dent in that stuff, it's forever.
Yeah.
So we are very conscious of that. We have a lot of experience building schools, so we know what the downfalls.
So all the
We've learned a lot of lessons over the
all the products you're going to show us are durable and meant for schools settings. Okay.
And they're almost all materials that we have used very frequently on schools. So we don't need to go into a lot of detail on this, but you can see in the pyramid, the base, the foundation of the design is actually cost effectiveness, meaning it's efficient. We're using readily available materials. We're trying to make it as simple as we can while still be exciting. The technical performance, we have really high goals in terms of energy efficiency for the facility. So that means the envelope has to be high performing. We want to bring in a lot of daylight, but we want to keep out the heat gain. So there's a lot that goes into that. We don't need to get into weeds on that, but I want to just sort of give you some sense of what the considerations have been and will continue to be. We're barely out of the gate here. And then aesthetics is on top because it's kind of the icing on the cake. And the higher we can build that peak, the better. We're going to try to connect with the history of East Longmeadow. We're going to try to make the facility, and we can look at the next slide because it's got several of these kind of features that were talked about in the visioning and in various meetings leading up to now. We want it to be a building of its time, 21st century school, although it wants to sort of, make reference to history. And we've got sort of one topic that is a nice thread for the project materially. I'll get into that in a minute. All of these other things, I think we've talked about a lot in terms of the planning. One big one is really the community presence of the building. It's going to be the biggest, investment by the town for how many generations? It's going to be the new sort of, center for the community. And so it's got to really express that and be welcoming. Next, before we get into the pretty pictures, we are meeting those performance, criteria. We're setting out a roadmap that is based on energy modeling, a little bit in the abstract, but it gives us a good sense of, okay, how much insulation do we need in the walls? How much do we need at the roof? What kind of glazing systems can we use? It's going to be a triple glazed system, which is expensive, but it's going to save money in the long run. And it's going to create a more comfortable environment inside the school. Insulation under, at the foundation and under the slabs. So the idea is the higher performing the envelope can be, the less performance we need out of mechanical systems. And it's a big piece of what we have to do here. And again, all the imagery is going to be consistent with providing this level of performance. Next slide, please. So one sort of way of breaking down the envelope of the building at this stage is to set some targets. So the first two lines are basically the opaque walls of the school. So those typically break down as masonry or stone and some kind of a lighter, we call it rain screen system, which could be ceramic tile, it could be metal panel, those kinds of things. So the solid elements, which have all that insulation behind them. We target 75% of walls to be solid. And then the next two lines, we target the next 25% of the envelope to be windows, whether they're window openings in the wall, like classrooms, or they're bigger curtain wall elements, at the main entry, at, common space. So that's the basic framework that we're working within. Once we get feedback on direction in terms of aesthetics, we'll go back and check our numbers to make sure we are complying with this when we do the submission, because there are different cost factors to, between a masonry wall and a glass curtain wall. So we want to make sure that we're hitting those targets, and it's a little bit complex calculation to make sure that we're doing that. But we feel like we're on track with the things that we're showing. The other elements are more decorative, trim pieces, the soffits of overhangs. We want to provide some screening of mechanical equipment at the front of the building at least. We don't know yet whether we need acoustic screens to, protect the neighborhood from noise. But we typically carry something at this stage to be conservative. Roofing will be a PVC membrane, light colored, so it reflects energy back up to the sky. That's the kind of dry, sort of checklist. So if we go to the next slide, you can see that there's just, don't try to absorb all this. This is meant to be, a little bit overwhelming because there's so many different materials out there that we could start with. There's masonry, there are thin, stone-like materials, there's metal, panels that look like wood. I have a couple here, just in case anyone's interested in that as, an element of the architecture. And then things that are, we've done one terracotta clad school that was an outlier, right? This is not really going to be an affordable option. So the next slide gives you that information sort of right sort of off the bat at first look. So the y-axis is lead time. So we've been really impacted in the last few years by supply chain issues and not able to get things that were in the specs. And so that's got to be something we think about. And then the X dimension along the bottom, cost. So you see where brick sits in all of this. It's extremely, affordable, highly durable, and extremely, malleable. You can do so many things with brick. So the fundamental idea for this project is we're going to start with brick as a cladding material. It's used throughout the district. As you go across, the next, upgraded material, the formed metal, that's double the cost of brick, just to give you a sense of the factoring. And then composite metal is another 50% above that. So it starts to really accelerate as you go across. Phenolic panels have been really difficult lately because they're resin based, and plastic resins have been really difficult to get for many reasons. So this gives you a sense. We do have some porcelain tile that we're showing as an option, and that's on the far end of the spectrum. So that might help, sort of shape reactions to what you see in the options. So moving on. We want to acknowledge the materials that have been used throughout the district. There is quite a bit of red brick, but I will say and I stopped at a few schools on my way in, quite a variation of what we might call red brick. Maple Shade has a nice sort of garden wall type bond within the brick, and it has sort of like a Cherokee red accent. Sort of feels mid-century, like a lot of the schools feel mid-century. Birchland Park is kind of somehow chose this kind of arts and crafts kind of style, which picks up on, I like, that architecture. The green frames are interesting. That's a departure. A lot of the other frames in the district, the window frames, like on this school, the high school, are meant to look like oxidized bronze. So they're like a dark brown. They just look dark brown. So, choices of whether to pick up on some of those elements and sort of double down on the branding of them and unify the district aesthetically is something to think about. And the high school, the new project, will have a great opportunity to kind of reframe how you see the other materials in the district. It might elevate them. So when you go back and look at
Birchland?
Mountain View?
Maple Shade.
Meadowbrook. Yeah.
is a darker palette. It's like brown, very sort of dark brown. Has a lot of the bronze color, which could feel heavy, but if there's some different ways you can do that. So that's the kind of question that we want to get to eventually, but it's more sort of in the background as you think about some of what we're putting on the table. Next slide, please. Again, brick masonry is extremely durable, serviceable, but also can be extremely beautiful in terms of the patterns you make, can make it three-dimensional. Some of it has like a surface, either texture or flash, where there's a ceramic element to it that looks metallic, which is very beautiful, but tends to be a little more expensive. It's a single brick depth of cavity wall. So it really is acting like a rain screen, relatively low maintenance. We don't bring it into the ground. We have very hard stone that we're going to propose as base, which the brick sits on top of. And so we don't have exposure to efflorescence that is, brick being a very porous material. Next slide, please. So we're going to see images of these sort of upper volumes of the school. And there are a couple of options here. One is a rain screen panel, which means it's a lightweight, thin panel that sits on a sort of a Z-shaped frame. It's almost like a stud, but it's outboard of the wall, and so holds that system up. Typically, these look like stone, or these look like metal, even the one in the middle. On the left is the North Middlesex Regional High School, which some of you toured. That's on the exterior. And on the upper right is the Templeton Elementary, which is another partnership with JWA. And that has it looks like split slate, sorry. So there are different scales and sizes, and so we can work with that. It is a more expensive material than, say, the next item, which is next slide, please. Sorry. I need to be more explicit about. So formed metal wall panels are more affordable than, and I feel like we've talked about this before, but when you look at materials that are out there, and especially from material that's up off the ground, so it's at a distance, there are some really nice products that are basically an interlocking panel, 12 inches wide, and the lengths can be very long. So the school on the lower right is all clad in this material, and they were able to get these very long lengths so that you don't get seams, and it looks very elevated, and it also looks kind of organic. The image in the upper right here is from our design. It's now in construction for Waltham High School. It's on the end elements of a classroom block that are sort of tower elements. So they get pre-finished in the factory. They can have sort of metallic finishes and different glossiness. So in the upper left, you can see you can create, different levels of reflectance and all that. And so this, again, it's more expensive than brick, but less expensive than virtually all those other, whether it's composite aluminum panel or phenolic.
I didn't get that.
That might look like wood, or the last option of the ceramic or porcelain. Sorry. So this is one of the options in the images that you'll see.
So does the finish on these hold up over time?
It does. It's sort of like a car finish. Maybe not quite, but it's at least 2 coats. The way you really elevate it, I find, is to put a sort of metallic element in it that gives it some depth.
Yeah.
But there's a hard coat on top of it that is very protective.
So a car that was out in the weather for 20 years would certainly look weathered, and if we're hoping to get longer than that, it's just not necessarily a material that might take us 50 years and look good still.
That's a good question. I can get more info on, durability.
Keep in mind too, one lacrosse ball hits that, it's gonna leave a dent.
And are the form metal wall panels or the porcelain tile rain screen panels, are they replaceable? So when the lacrosse ball hits it, or?
They can be.
Obviously.
But they never are.
Take out and change it.
I doubt that you would ever do that.
Yeah, it's probably never done.
And also too, because I just did one on my outdoor kitchen too, if you have any sharp object or anything, you could take that and then you can see the white underneath the primer or the metal itself too. So you got to keep in mind that as well.
Sure. And as we look at the images, look at where we're
mowing guys and
where we
guys
supposed to use them. They're very high.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Twice the expense though, right? This one was twice the cost.
Of brick, yeah.
Can we do the whole thing in brick? Is that done?
We can.
Different colored bricks? Or?
Haven't shown that, and maybe I think we get into
the accent walls.
Ooh,
I'm
right.
sure they're going to type of things in.
So
some of this.
we can do that. So I personally would not recommend to do that at this early stage, because that's about as low as you want to go.
Yeah.
You could start to talk about, CMU or really, sort of base level materials. And I don't think you want to go there for a building that's going to be around as long as it will be.
But doesn't brick have the durability, but you would say not to use that on the whole building?
So my philosophy on the costing is to hold some things in there now that when push comes to shove down the line, you have a strategy to take them out. If you put in brick now, that's as low as you can go.
Yeah.
And so there's no insurance and then you have to start cutting into something inside the school, right? That's going to affect the educational program.
Well, what's the difference, roughly talking in general terms, if we do all brick versus brick and the formed metal?
It's about $40 a square foot, and metal panels are 80.
So how?
Right, it's that double factor, but how much area do we have? Maybe.
I think so too.
And you still want, like I said, accent walls. You don't want just a total.
Right.
You know what I mean? You add some of these elements in certain places based on their
Right, but they're going to get expensive real quick, because I don't know that we like the formed metal. So we're now
Might be talking about $500,000 difference. And is that worth it?
For the porcelain or the metal?
To go from metal to brick.
Right, but I'm thinking we're not super excited about the metal. So what's the next one up? The porcelain?
Well, no, there's.
It might be phenolic.
And let's look at the example.
Yeah, let's.
I know, yeah.
We're gonna accent with.
Come on, Jeff, you know me by now. We got bottom line.
Okay, so.
That's slide 50.
Yeah, and if I'm going too slowly, let me know. I can speed up.
Initial thoughts on
We need a big fat slab of brownstone.
Wouldn't that be great?
Huge. You got one up at there somewhere?
So I've called around.
Everywhere. I wish
Drain them and cut one?
hidden ponds, there was giant slabs of redstone that people had grabbed. I mean, you should see it all. And Tom O'Brien has a lot of it. It's great to grab some of that for this project, but I mean, I'm sure we can locate some, but nothing probably to the scale that we need,
We
probably.
love free material.
So do we.
I did a little bit of legwork and looking for, what quarries are active that have a sandstone that's red or red brown. What they came back with was from India, and I haven't got a price yet for it.
Chip, yeah.
How about precast concrete that's,
That's the next step.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Pay homage.
is the tie into the coloration of the redstone or brownstone what we want to do?
Yeah. I think you want the volume. And if we can't get the volume through the whole thing, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and what we show is fairly modest in terms of what's actually represented as sort of, it's almost nominal.
Because that's probably what the cutout sign is, right? Or is that actual brownstone?
I think that is.
Oh, that's
Is redstone?
redstone. Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yep.
And I took some of the materials over there today and lined them up, and so I have a sense, kind of what range we're talking about, and so yeah, the idea, I think we've talked about, and so it makes just a ton of sense to keep looking at this. And in the next slide, we're actually also. I'm inspired by sort of the geology and sort of what sort of tie-in we can make spatially to that. And Gordon, within this slide, there are a couple of overlays. So looking at the wedge space that's created, in that rift, that's where all the work happens, right? And that's where that was where this town was, kind of founded. And so. Interesting to think about that as a spatial type, for the building. And then the other one is sort of the monolith of, the basically the cliff that's left after extraction is pretty interesting as well, and it creates a space. So I'm using those in the next slide to start talking about the options in terms of the massing. And really the focus here, because so much is already determined by the plan and is sort of an extrusion up of it, that the focus is more in the middle. And so how to express that element, which is important because it relates to the entry and your sort of image of the school from a distance as you approach, and what is that element. And so this one in the next slide is the bigger sort of view of it. I'm calling it monolith because it almost appears to be sort of carved out from a bigger mass. And so what it does is it joins the auditorium on the right side of the entry with the spine element, which has kind of a monitor getting light down into the circulation space and connecting to the media center behind it. So it's all one sort of wrapper over the entry. And you'll see it doesn't have the same impact as option 2, which is the next slide, which is the wedge. And so spatially, this, has a nice connection to the quarry. And it does some work in terms of presenting itself at a high level as you approach the school. And there's sort of a peak element there that I think we still need to do some work on. The next slide will just sort of expand.
Could we do the interior walls in that colored concrete, meaning as if you were in the cavern itself as you're walking through that pie shape entry?
Anything can be done.
I think that would be a great tribute to the town,
What volume of material would we need?
Well, I think then you start asking, is it actually stone that's going through that space, or is it a stand-in for the stone?
I think it'd have to be a stand-in, but to put the cracks in it, faux cracks, whatever they would be, but to give that depth and, you had the cutout.
Joints.
Yeah, the joints, the cutouts.
Concrete type of thing?
But random, more as it would be back in the day, I don't know if that's possible. Maybe it's too museum-y or whatever, but.
Right. And is it going to come off well?
Yeah.
Right? If it looks, like a fake,
Yeah.
is that really worth it? But it can also be a more subtle, sort of suggestion that maybe it's just seams in the wall that are doing the work for you. And you're not trying to make it look like actual redstone. So, yeah, and Jill can talk to interior materials that we, might use for that. Acoustic panels are going to be in the mix.
More random than a uniform, perhaps, but not redstone, but just to get that.
Yeah, we have in those common areas, we're having a wainscot of like a porcelain ceramic tile right now. So that has a lot of potential for taking on stone looks and different patterns. And then there would be acoustic treatments as well, which you can get creative with.
Great.
And certainly,
And we're having some wood in there as well, which I think is also complementary to the kind of organic, natural feeling.
historically, the stone that was quarried out of here was used to construct buildings where the pattern of how those stones were laid, you look at the library at NYU,
Uniform.
all, right? So I don't think the reference has to be to the stone in its natural setting.
Right.
Necessarily.
And it doesn't need to be literal.
Correct.
We are influenced by, kind of as a series, as a language, right, of the interior, that it feels like it's been carved out.
Yes.
Maybe it's totally different material. Maybe it is more wood, right? But it's influenced by the quarry in different ways.
Yeah.
Right. We want it to be a light space, and if you make it feel cavernous, it could be sort of claustrophobic. But we have that great source of light overhead. So the main question here is, and we'll see a couple of different variations as we move down lower. Should we enhance that spine element and bring it forward, which actually has helped us to reduce the canopy element a bit more. That piece up above is doing more of the signal work of, hey, here's the entry, and this is kind of the center of the building, and the rest of it kind of splays out from there. So as we go into the next slide, this is just
without
There was no pool. You didn't see the pool.
So we didn't do it for every view, but you should understand what it looks like before doing that building and then after. So this is on the arrival sort of driveway. The two options, with the massing up top, wrapping in the top one, and down below you can see that peak element coming forward. Now the team, I think, feels if we did a little bit more to boost that upper piece, and we've been reducing the canopy, believe it or not, and we feel like we can keep going with that it doesn't need something kind of monumental anymore. Where before, I think we were a little anxious that there's not enough. And I would say with the monolith scheme, maybe there isn't enough going on up above, that the canopy needs to do more work, which is why it's more dynamic and looks the way it does. And gives you that uplift, which says, definitely that's the entry. And, potentially it could be a really nice place to gather. But I do think it could be scaled down even further. So next view is around sort of the northeast edge at the drop off, looking back. So the gym is on your left. Not as big a difference here, right? Because the background behind the wedge piece is kind of, obscuring it a bit. The next image, you really get the sense of, with the pool, what happens. And because the bleachers are on the front side here, it gets more of a solid wall treatment. But we do have an opportunity on the north, on the left, to bring some glazing down to the ground and make it feel, bright and open. So the schemes, really all take that lower treatment of brick around the first story, and then have the elements above be a lighter weight material. Can we move to all brick in the future? Definitely. We do it all the time. But this gives you a sense of those two, like, the main sort of sculptural element. If you have a preference, it'd be great to hear that.
I think the wedge is more defining for me. If I were to look at it and say where the entrance is,
I would agree.
I can
I'm a fan
pick
of
out
the wedge myself.
cantilever. I like the lighter colors too, the bottom one, that's the top, just in general speaking.
I'm sorry, the color?
The lighter color.
Lighter color.
Top is lighter in the bottom
Oh,
rendering.
you mean on the bottom image or bottom?
Bottom image.
Oh, okay.
Lighter.
It's a metal.
Accent.
I think they're different. If you go to the next one,
The next slide.
or the other way.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, see how it's lighter versus darker.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a bit
Porcelain tile, the most expensive option.
I have good taste. I mean, I won't doubt that.
Are there any fans of the monolith?
You got one. I like it.
Yeah.
I do.
I like it, not as much as the wedge, but
Oh, okay.
I like
In terms of preference,
I like the wedge better than the monolith. I mean, either one I think is nice. I just like how the wedge, the top ties in with the bottom better.
When you're looking straight on this view, I kind of like the.
Oh, because it's off-centered.
So is
Do you have any?
Yeah, no, I know.
support for the canopy in the wedge looks structurally completely different than it is in the monolith.
that's true.
Yeah, so I guess the only thing I don't like about the wedge
Is the canopy.
is the
Like the way the canopy.
that looks a little dated to me, that sort of support for the.
Okay.
Can you, is there a way to zoom in on those entrances?
Sure. If we keep going here, we have,
Keep going? All right.
But the technology's there.
yeah, so beyond the
Edge massing? No.
elevations.
There it is.
Look at that. Look at that monolith.
Yeah, and so a few things going on here. The upper volumes, they're relatively flat in the front, and we're showing this treated with the metal, right? So it has a rib or sort of a drape element to it, and then creating slot elements. So we actually, know that some light is desirable in the auditorium, which is somewhat unusual, but it's not the first time we've done it. So it's kind of the mirror image at the gym side, which needs lots of light. Maybe not that much glass, but it's gestural, right, at this stage. The lower element has, the treatment around the window is a darker colored brick.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it gives it the sense of kind of like an arcade and with lots of regular rhythm. So it grounds it and it makes it feel like kind of irreplaceable. And it serves as a good base for the thing that's set on top of it because it feels structural, right? So those are the main features here. The next slide is not only the wedge coming forward, but we're starting to think about, could there be sort of like a scale effect to the front of these surfaces to break them up? Maybe even relate to, some of the neighborhood textures like, the clapboard and, even like hopper windows that I saw around, it might be a stretch and it's a different scale, but it does feel organic, at least I think, to me.
I think you might win people over with that mentality to some extent because newer architect can be looked at as modern, which East Long Meadow is not. So I would agree with your perception on those sorts of touches. I think there's room for that.
You mean more historical kind of?
Yeah, and contextual, right? Sure.
Yeah.
Even the pattern of the tile, it could relate to, I don't know if there are slate roofs around, but definitely shingle and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I was going to say almost the exact opposite, that the monolith would be a little more of a modern East Long Meadow, more of a statement.
No, I'm with you.
Monument of
The lower piece here is really different, right? So that to us is very modern.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's more modern to me.
So that's a question.
I like this.
And so, but hold the thoughts, because when we look at the south,
Why are you going to shut up?
my question is, should there be sort of one window pattern around the whole building?
Tell us about
Or
this.
do you change it from front to back?
And is the gym and the auditorium stepped? Are those?
It's a slight fold in the wall.
Yeah.
So basically a straight, the inside of the wall is straight.
Oh.
It's just kicking out.
Yep.
A little bit zigzag.
I got
The
you.
windows are all in the same plane.
Okay.
So it's kind of sleight of hand. But,
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
materially, I mean, it's all the things we talked about. It's possible to do maybe some banding, even, it could even be narrow banding of, if not the sandstone, something that looks a lot like the sandstone as a precast or some kind of trim element. Otherwise, it's mainly a light colored brick. We're thinking that the attitude is more sort of light in terms of palette, but if that's not correct, let's talk about that. And the accent at the window, which gives it that banding effect, is just a darker brick. So, this is, I think, consistent with a more sort of contemporary approach. Granite base, and colors of granite, we can, there's plenty of time to talk through that. It would be good to get a sense of light versus dark, just sort of basic process of elimination maybe of some things that we've got here. So the next slide is a different approach altogether.
Yeah.
So that's the second palette. That's more like the Mountain View palette with the blonde colored brick,
Many choices, I guess.
bronze frames. Not that has to be the association, but that does exist. That's, it's a nice palette, I think. Quality of architecture aside, this gives an opportunity to actually, again, raise the perception maybe of the other school and say that our brown elements are going to look more like bronze. Even. All you have to do is put a metallic, sort of mixture in there. It is a little more expensive, but can you elevate the school to that degree, or is that desirable? Otherwise, it's simply, if you click again, Gordon, it's just a lighter colored sort of neutral palette. There can still be that accent element within this palette. I think it works fine with it. This palette actually calls out for more color.
Yeah.
Whether it's the window frame or something else, or the metal panel, you can put in maybe strips of color. It's not an elementary school, so you don't want to go too heavy-handed with color on the exterior. But I brought some maybe eye-opening colors that could prompt some ideas. So that's, that palette stands basically for the whole project, as a base. Now, we're not picking the colors today. If we're in the right ballpark, then we feel more comfortable about what we're submitting for the pricing. If there's something you feel we have to have, right, and we're going to maybe spend a little more on it, then we'll include that in the pricing. So that's kind of the context. So that's the front, and now we're going to transition to the south side, the academic wings. There are two schemes here. One is a vertical bay expression, which is, I think, more traditional in terms of its reference. Some of the proportioning and grouping of windows, which you see in a lot of old schools, and less so the stripping in of the horizontal, which is a trademark of mid-century modern design. And case in point, right outside. Next option is that one that we saw on the front of the horizontal banding, which does work well on the south side related to the sunshade elements that we are going to need to protect those windows at classrooms. It's a high sun that we want to shade from. And so we have a pretty high degree of control with an element that comes out from the wall, and it has louvers. So it creates a shadow on the window that's going to, basically prevent it from overheating. You have the triple glazed window to begin with, but it's just an extra measure, and it makes the room more habitable in terms of glare as well.
That's on every south side window?
Yeah. So as we keep going here, the elevations are not as helpful, but we did clip in a partial plan here so you can see the distribution of windows per room is fairly consistent, and we'll tune that as we go. And what we're finding, there are different factors that come into play. If you want a big window, then you're going to be paying for the steel to support the brick over the top of it. So we limit ourselves to 8 feet maximum width of a window, so we can get a lintel over a loose lintel will carry that span. So now you're talking about multiple windows in a classroom, and we find lately the trend is to put the window close to the demising wall, so you get bounce off the wall to the interior, and you get good even light inside the room, and you leave a gap in the middle of the wall for a writing surface on the inside. So they have to play off each other. There's a ton of work. We've barely even discussed this between interior and exterior, but that's the thinking behind this pattern. But when you look at it, it looks like a series of bands, and it doesn't have to line up, although a lot of it does stack and is very rational in terms of how you build it. So you get kind of a little of both worlds. The other one, the vertical bays, again, it's a more sort of rigid stacking and grouping. But there are 3 elements here. There's the base, which recalls the redstone. There's a band right through the center, it's a little below level 2 floor. And then the elements that are around the windows that are vertical are an accent brick. So it's basically 3 colors. It's a little bit more going on and a little more interest when you look at it, but maybe a little more traditional in terms of the reference. Next slide. So here's the sort of full color view. Pattern only, same color scheme for both. I think the picture says it all. Next, please. Here's looking at the west. So the 3-sided courtyard. It's got outdoor classrooms and is, I think, going to be a wonderful, spill out space from the school. The large group instruction space is the one sort of connecting the 2 bars at the back. And then we can see a sort of a clear story that's open to the dining commons below. So we're getting light in that way as well, throwing it over the top. Again, it's really more to get feedback on, do you like the horizontal bays, the bands, or vertical bays? Next, please.
I like the vertical.
I wonder if we want to pause and talk about those 2, but and what I think is maybe let's come back to this series of slides, Gordon. So
just back up a little bit, you mean?
I'll do this quickly, but we'll come back to it. If you go forward, there's the color palette options shown on the south elevations. I should have moved them up in the sequence. Keep going, please.
Keep going.
Yeah, so those were the 2 options for the south elevation.
Here?
No, you had it. Yeah, right there. Great.
Got it.
So
Nice.
the vertical option in the red tone, right? Again, it's a light and dark brick, same as we saw on the front. You can have dark frames. You can have a sort of painted color frame. The way we treat that, I think there are a few directions that could go. It might, be most helpful to just look at the materials when thinking about that. And then the next slide should be the horizontal one. Gordon, if we could.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Is the more contemporary look. Again, the warm neutral palette. And has still the tie-in of the redstone.
Like the horizontal.
Is that really the only option for the sunshade for the south-facing windows? Is that shade that you're showing?
It's the most effective one.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
I think
Awnings, you full spider web. That thing every once a year.
You can do a type that's sort of hung vertically. And it has a series of, ribs or slats.
We talking about?
It also affects
Shade.
the
Sunshade.
Oh, okay.
Shades.
So we're looking at both the horizontal and the vertical, also different palettes, right? So you can mix and match
Right.
too, if you like this, but you like the red. Okay.
We're asking you to hold a lot of different ideas in your head.
The red.
I like the horizontal pattern.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, that's the vertical,
That's vertical.
I like the horizontal.
other one's horizontal.
Not necessarily that palette.
right?
How low are these?
Yeah,
I've never been a huge fan of Mountain View, color wise. I love the school.
That's putting it
itself
mildly.
and the people there. I just meant the color. It's just an odd color. That's all.
Yeah, true.
Does everyone prefer the red tone palette?
I think generally, yeah.
Yes.
I'm just thinking this is maintenance. Like I said, down the road with
Cleaning up.
mold and mildew, I think the
Green.
color's great, but
Yeah.
it's gonna get
All green.
Scarlet and gray, baby. Right? Come on.
That's just probably mildew. There's no
love it,
mold.
but-
The north side especially, like it does.
Yeah, exactly.
On the stucco. Yeah.
How low are the light shades there?
Yeah, I don't know that. Like, geez.
That's a good question. They're not.
Are people jumping up?
Yeah, they're
having
they're not
these?
high enough.
They're not.
I think they're optimized for performance, but you're right at the ground level.
Be hanging on
I've
them.
seen a lot of kids hanging off one.
Yeah, if we raise it, so it's actually
Don't run it across the top of them.
Oh,
a
yeah.
little above your feet.
Oh, they'll climb right
So
up.
if we bring it up to the top of the window frame,
Yep.
I think we get to 11, which I don't think really
I just see people climbing that.
Yeah.
center of the basketball team. Might-
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Shot.
I don't know.
Very nice.
What does that
On to it.
look like?
No base.
Do you know what I'm saying? Is it solid or
It's louvered. If you look at the
yeah? No, it's hard to make out. Like how far does it come out?
yeah, we might.
3 feet.
Yeah, you can kind of see it turning the corner there. There might be another image.
Second floor.
Keep going.
Like 18.
Yeah.
Like 2 feet.
Yeah, a couple feet.
It's like sharp metal. So it's like
It's sort of like an airplane wing.
Razor wire.
It's football shape,
it takes one.
Okay.
so it doesn't collect water,
Sorry. That's
Yeah.
shed water easily.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know.
That's a required, huh? You need that.
We
yeah,
Yeah, I
we
mean,
see these on almost every school, the sunshades. So.
yeah.
it's to control glare coming into the classroom.
Does it eliminate shades within the classroom? Is that what the main
We
idea?
still have shades because people want to, you want to be able to darken the room. Projector.
Raise it up a little.
But it means you can have the shades open much more of the time.
It means during this period of day when you're teaching and all the kids are trying to like.
Yes.
look at-
They're not gonna get blasted by the sun.
Exactly. Which
Yeah.
I wish I had had something like that in my classroom.
And they're not as effective in the winter. I mean, you're definitely going to need the shades when the sun is low in the winter. It doesn't do a lot for you,
Gotcha. Red.
but you're also getting some, welcome heat gain from the sun.
What are they made of?
It's aluminum.
Aluminum, yeah.
There's not a problem like with snow and ice in this area building up with, no?
Not on the shape that it's made in. So it's like an airplane wing. So the water just sort of
Oh, okay,
sheds off of it.
I see.
And only on the south side, not on the north.
Right. It wraps a little on the ends, but yeah, not on the north.
That's good at least. That's not on the face.
So what do you think? Before we're moving over to materials, want to talk about the dining commons elevation?
So
If
go
you
back.
look backward, a few slides here. Back. One more. Yeah, so we've got two options for treating, that elevation that is basically within the wedge. Right? It's the expression between. It's like almost feels like between two buildings. And so this one basically expresses the full height. Where the windows are horizontal, it goes vertical. So we're maximizing the differentiation in the architecture. It's got a set of doors in the center that have a vestibule. So that's the way in and out. And it really just has a fairly modest canopy over the door. we're showing shade structures out on the terrace. So that would be a place where people are going to. You know, the number and placement of those is something, you know, the team has to work on. The site team's thinking about this, but it's not a barren sort of area, and there would be trees around for shade. But it doesn't offer as much, you know, in terms of outdoor space protected by the building. There's an upper overhang that shades roughly half the elevation, which is good, but doesn't offer much at the ground level. So, and the next slide shows kind of the concept of, you know, how the overhang works. I think everyone sort of gets that. We've done this quite a lot where we have tall curtain wall facing south. The next slide is the second option, which is pretty much lower in scale. It's got two vestibules on the ends, and so it creates a carve out under a protected roof where there can be seating on the outside, immediately next to the building. The upper portion is given one of those more vertical treatment, which I think we can get away with there because it's not a, you know, like regularly inhabited space. It's a pass through. It's a corridor behind it. So that's the approach here, and I think it sort of works well to get you outside easily and to connect to the outer structure. So, you know, that's...
Can you flip back to the other one, Gordon? So just say it again.
Different scale, I think.
Oh, yeah.
This one's a bit more monumental.
In this one, the vestibule is in the center of what is the dining hall commons. The other one's the two on the outside, giving more of a direct view line.
Right.
To the,
people in the cafeteria. This one.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
I like that one too.
Nice, yeah.
This too.
And what'd you say up top is a corridor? Or is that just?
Yeah, there's the stairwell up to level 2 is behind the left-hand doors.
I see.
And it goes up to a corridor that connects the two wings.
Okay.
And so you're overlooking that space into the caf, right behind the glass.
Kind of like a bridge.
Yeah, right, exactly.
One that has a protected.
And how are we going to keep the, I'm sorry that I forgot this, the noise from the cafeteria for the second floor?
So we have doors separating the academic wings.
Okay.
And they've been pulled kind of away. So we're doing a couple different treatments, both the ability to close it off. We're also looking at not having the entire atrium be open, doing more of kind of some punched openings in some locations where you have walls and openings. So it's not just one giant mall atrium with noise spilling out. So there'll be a lot of opportunities to add then sound treatments.
But that's the hall there on the top.
The hallway, yes.
Second, okay. Great.
With doors at either end.
Yeah, thank you.
I heard a preference towards this approach for the, yes.
This is based on the vertical window construction, right?
But
the option for vertical?
Match, right?
It's pretty much mix and match, a la carte.
A la carte.
Option.
We chose for presentation, we chose the one that's
pick
most
one.
different from the adjacent windows, but they're interchangeable. With that one, it's just mentioned that there is a bit of a roof element that's created. So, you know, a little bit more maintenance in terms of, and you can look out over that. So what we typically do is fill that with like roof ballast or river wash stone. So it's nice to look over the top of it. It's not like a PVC thing with the
Membrane.
So
Yeah.
it's not a big area. So we
A 50-year warranty?
When you say it's not a big area, how big is it?
How far out from the
Yeah,
face
it's
does
maybe
it come?
12 feet deep.
That's nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
So actually you could have a few tables out.
And that helps with the sun as well.
Yeah.
Feet would be.
The students really enjoyed eating
Yeah, they like it
outside. I mean, the pandemic brought us out, but they really did enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, this could, not to be site designer here, but there's an opportunity outside for, you know, maybe something built in on the ground that's under the shade structure, like a mini amphitheater or at least benches.
Yeah.
That maybe that ties into what's running through the whole interior. And I know Eric's talked about this too, about wanting to incorporate these quarry elements in the landscape, it's all one space as far as we're concerned. It goes from the front, sort of driveway all the way through the building and comes out here. And so we want to treat it consistently all the way through.
And you said we have plenty of time to make decisions on horizontal windows versus the vertical. We don't have to make that decision today. Is that correct?
It'd be great. We have to submit drawings, so we kind of have to pick which one we're going to submit. But I think cost-wise, that's not a big driver. What does happen is, okay, so this option has more of the accent brick. So so it might come down to which dark brick we like. If it's an iron spot brick, that might be a little more expensive. So that might differentiate the two options in terms of how much of certain materials we're using with them.
More expensive brick with the horizontal option.
Yeah, it's the windows are basically a wash, but if there's more expensive brick in one of them, now I think we can find brick that's basically one cost, light and dark. Mm-hmm. What I have on the table, the dark brick is a little bit more expensive brick, but we can find something more affordable.
I mean, do people want to look at the horizontal and vertical window options?
Yeah.
Have a little discussion, and again,
That way back.
but yep. That's probably the best way to compare.
When you gotta give us a push, you gotta give us a push.
Well, I heard chit chat. I heard a lot of chit chat as Brian was going through.
So the energy code is pushing us to triple glaze now?
Oh, yeah.
Triple glaze.
Yes, indeed.
So that means very expensive for the
Horizontal.
horizontal?
Yeah, more windows.
No, every option has triple.
Same windows in both.
It is.
One
Same,
is.
same number of windows? Really?
This is how they're laid out.
Number of
It's
How they're laid out.
This is a
optical
dark
illusion.
more like a bigger.
That is so weird.
Yeah,
Wow.
More or less.
yeah.
Again, we have to, once we have a better direction, we'll go back and carefully calculate
You like the horizontal?
the areas, because we have to give that information to the estimators. Make sure we're hitting our 25% window to wall ratio.
To office space?
Well, so could you just, I can see it, but I'm sorry, I think I have a 50-year-old eye. So the horizontal, is it just a bunch of windows? I know you said you wouldn't go any wider than 8 feet, that because you need to have, but
Right, and
is there a closer?
that one looks a little bit darker than the others.
It's like
So,
Zoom in?
Is it possible to zoom in there?
again, if you hover
I
over,
have all kinds of technical
Are
ability.
the windows the same?
Are the windows the same?
That messed it up.
Two schemes?
Spoke too soon.
Yeah, exactly. Here, look.
basic area of the window,
Want me to drive?
Use my magnifying glass.
Is that better?
No.
it's no different.
But they both look vertical. The windows are both
Zooming.
vertical.
Gordon, if you,
Jamie can zoom in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Gordon, you can, if you hover on the lower left of
the dark is
Oh.
cut out.
just, you're getting a different pop.
The windows are the same.
You want to correct?
Maybe if we click to another
Apple.
image, that might help answer
Yeah.
Pam's question.
The
Okay.
drawn.
Where would you like me to?
If you want to disconnect, I can pull it up.
You want me to disconnect? Wow. Ryan.
Oh, Ryan's moving.
Backwards.
Come sit over here, Pam.
I know, right? That's where I usually am. That's why I go back to that seat.
All right, Ryan. You drive. Did you send him the stuff?
Did I hear you say on the
I
vertical?
have the PDF version, yeah.
That there's a space on the inside so that they could use some of that outer wall?
Whoa, look at
That's an advantage for the teachers? Do the,
Wow.
yes, or?
Yeah,
Give us like a tour.
so when you put windows in, there's going to be leftover space either on the edges
Yeah.
or in the middle.
That's actually better.
Lately, we've
Good job, Brian.
creating a bigger space in the middle
So that
it can maximize the writing area.
I see.
Yes, thinking classrooms.
But both options would allow
Right.
that.
Yeah, both options allow that.
Yeah, because
That's
that's
not
not
a-
amount of windows.
And well, now I
Yeah.
can see though that there's a big space of the dark whatever material in between the windows, so it
Correct.
gives that illusion.
Yeah.
that
Darker
it's-
brick.
Darker brick.
That's the darker brick, okay,
Yes, and each square is like 6 feet.
Oh, we don't want that. That's too light.
okay.
Oh, hey. Oh, Ryan, what are you
So
doing?
the space is.
Between the windows.
We're at the carnival? Come on.
Yeah, so they have space, just not a larger space.
You're on a tilt-a-wheel.
Exactly. Jeez.
Scale's a little,
The exterior, Pam, is irrelevant to the interior placement of the windows, correct?
Yeah.
The horizontal or vertical, the windows can be the same or not, but
Well, it looks like they are. It's just.
they're a little different, I think.
Nope, it's just an illusion.
They're a little, they're a little different.
Okay.
Yeah, truthfully, they're a little
Yeah.
bit different, but not enough to, sort of say that one, there's more of one than the other.
I don't
Are we thinking of darker?
They're just grouped a little differently.
Okay.
Oh, I like this color scheme.
Yeah.
There.
Bottom one.
Could reverse,
There was
yeah, I like the
another one,
horizontal.
option two.
I just think it looks more
Other one.
collegiate, I guess, I don't know, rather than institutional. I don't know.
That
I
one,
like this. Yeah.
Which is which now?
that's nice.
Can we get
Bottom, I prefer.
The
Horizontal.
horizontal expression, yeah.
We gotta vote on,
Same one.
horizontal.
I think the corner gives you a better view of it.
That one's good. Feel
Yeah, then you get an understanding of the dark.
modern.
That looks, yeah. That,
Cleaner and.
Cleaner looking.
better than when you.
The other one looks like it was built in the 70s or 80s.
Well, it just, it reminds
Yeah,
me of like an instant.
The last picture, right? When you look at it straight.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Oh.
I was built in the 70s.
I mean, I can understand that there's for teaching.
say you were built in
That space.
Nice. Okay.
Now, do you like that to extend all the way to the front of the building?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Which
Horizontal
there as well.
expression.
Yeah.
Say that again.
The horizontal band, you mean?
The horizontal.
The horizontal window, just because
Expression.
they can change it from the front and the back. It
Oh.
doesn't have to be the same.
It's interesting.
Again, it's a trick of making it look like
Yeah.
a window.
Yeah, that definitely looks better than the other.
So
That's,
On the front side,
okay, so that's vertical, that's horizontal. Okay.
That's horizontal right there?
Yeah.
That's horizontal.
And the horizontal you could have with the wedge or the monolith.
Ah, that's why we don't.
correct, yes.
Yeah.
It had the other
the
window.
window pattern is somewhat independent of everything.
Yeah, that,
Matthew, like.
That's what
the.
Yeah, that looks
Too, but I'm starting to
only on
the
this.
base?
Yeah.
See the bays?
switch.
Good picture.
Let's build that right there.
I'm with Greg, I gotta say.
See? Not that crazy.
But no V columns.
Don comes to the table.
No,
Yeah, you don't-
I don't mind the V
Yeah,
columns
well,
myself.
no, yeah, I mean, that's a minor thing.
The
Can you
canopy,
cantilever the whole thing without
the canopy needs to be smaller.
No?
And
giant
Looks like a
steel?
ramp.
could even.
No, you can't cantilever it, but you could put a post like you have on the other one.
I mean, I don't,
I don't mind the V.
The other,
I just,
other one on.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, so combining monolith with
You
the
guys can figure that out.
So,
master.
in the next stage, we'll come back with probably 5 options for a canopy.
Okay.
Wow.
But having locked in the other decisions that,
Is there a canopy on that west side by the art instructional space?
No.
We don't have
no, because
that.
there's,
That's this. Okay, yeah, right.
the exits should have a small canopy,
Yeah.
and we can do those last or best.
Vestibule on those two?
No.
Get going.
There's a vestibule there.
Yeah.
There will be a second shade structure in the estimating. It was in the PSR estimate, and I believe that second one is in that west arts.
It's shown that.
Okay.
That's it, okay.
Because I think, and I know Beth had interest in this, was that large covered learning space, and I don't know if we put it off of here.
We had the 2 doors, right? Didn't we have a little roof?
This isn't the,
That's not it.
this is the outdoor dining, this is the other
LGI.
side.
Gotcha. Oh,
Yeah,
And that's like a metal also, so
that one.
the overhang.
Nice, I like that.
The overhang is, well, we can talk about that.
Windows.
So
Yeah.
there are different options
I like
for
the
the vertical
vertical.
side of it. It could be metal. It could be something that looks like paper.
I like vertical.
He likes this look. With
Wood, but it's really
It's got the vertical.
you could do that in the back.
down on the
Change it up.
side
Back.
If you wanted warmth,
You guys vote what you want. I just like.
But you're part of the team.
Well,
that could be a metal.
gonna have a different
wood.
Yeah.
opinion.
you're amazingly unified.
Somebody just-
Commentary, I have to
Yeah, it's just like you said, I don't know. I like that color scheme right there, but I like the vertical windows.
That's the vertical window.
That is
But do the windows change positioning?
It just, it looks,
Yeah.
the horizontal just looks
Vertical,
boxy to me. You're,
Yeah, it's the same.
You know what I mean?
number and size.
Yeah.
They're just sort of shifting like.
you know,
They're not
how to
changing.
describe it.
No, I,
Clean lines.
Bruce, they're all going in that direction.
No, it's a different.
The windows are gonna be.
Well,
They're all.
windows themselves.
Portion of the window is vertical.
What it is the color is up above and down below, it looks like, where the other one is, it's side by side. So that's
yeah.
what makes it.
You like the vertical,
Like that.
Yeah.
but the windows are the same.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Triple glazed, you got it.
Should we do green like Birchland? No, okay.
Anodized. Dark anodized.
What other decisions do we need?
Do you want to have
we gotta make it-
touch some materials?
Yeah, we're on a roll. Yeah,
Pam?
Pass the materials?
No, just go look at them.
I like that. Do you guys like that color scheme?
I think we can.
Dark on the bottom, lighter on the top.
horizontal.
he likes vertical. What if you do vertical in the front? No, vertical in the back, horizontal in the front.
Whatever.
I think architecturally that looks
Like a architectural mullet. Is that business or?
Those are coming back around. You know?
They are coming back around.
All right, 7th inning stretch.
I like the red one on the left. I already voted.
It's done.
I could tell somebody ordered a pizza.
You ordered a pizza? Starving.
Tell my kids to.
Oh, don't you?
Not cooking.
That's
Amy, what time do you have to go?
Yeah, so neutral's over there, that half,
Good partridge.
What?
light, dark,
Send it
metal,
I mean, the content doesn't start
that's the
till
porcelain
7.
tile.
Michael Fenny, where's Michael Fenny?
I'll just take us 10 minutes.
Get a live mic.
5:15, does that work for you?
You all don't like metal. You can carry this.
I don't know if we hate it, I just don't think we're sold on it totally yet. I think there's a lot of.
Which one, Pam?
Metal on top.
Porcelain.
Yeah, we might be able to get talked into it though.
Right, I mean, I
I think
agree
it looks good in the
because
rendering.
There's more options than with metal.
Is that it?
You're not going to be close.
this was the
Is
light.
that it, the metal?
So that's the neutral palette over there. Oh, yeah, that's the interlocking, careful, it's sharp on the edge. Now it's the wrong color, but
things.
that's the idea. And so we can vary the profile. There are like 4 or 5 different ones, so you can get kind of a random pattern. And they interlock. This piece locks into that one. Fasteners are conceived. Like an elevated version of.
How long has that been available for use? Your wife. What's the oldest building that might?
I'm trying to check out a building.
So I want to be careful because I want it to be the kind of system that we would recommend, right, and not just some shed.
Yeah.
Right. So let me come back to you with better info on that.
Okay.
Because it's an excellent question. Durability's
Yeah, I'm gonna
obviously
do it.
something we want to
But I
tend to.
think the difference is good. The contrast is good. You've got me on not all brick.
Right, that there needs to be something else to break it up.
Yeah. So imagine that profile, this color, so you get a lot more reflectance and sort of shadow.
How high up is that?
So it's over 15 feet. Okay. But also set back, sort of behind the parapet.
Okay.
Like I said, in the front of the building, I don't think it's gonna be an issue. It's where the sports fields are.
Yeah, the sports, yep, the kids.
Because that's, like you said, look at the back of the small gym.
Gordon and I hear those kids bouncing those balls at the back of the school.
Yeah, but even where that material that is cracked and broken on the small gym, that's up 15 feet
Right.
before that band even is there, and that's completely shot. Because the kids,
I'd be surprised if anyone could hit it from, wherever they're playing.
Don't challenge it.
It's a challenge.
And this is the concrete, colored concrete.
Yeah, actually, this one is not too far off from the town hall.
Yeah.
Stone color. And we used this in Andover on an elementary school. So we can get the recipe.
Can we use it?
This is the actual sandstone from India. That was a piece that, it's similar material.
That's nice.
It's going to be pricey, but there's not that much of it. So we'll
Can
find
you
out.
use that in vertical bands for accents? Is that
vertical.
They're pre-cast?
Yeah, that's
We would
precast
order
concrete.
precast, okay.
Yeah, and so we'd get it in the same
However we
thickness
want.
as the brick.
Okay.
How much,
You just lay it up one on top of the other.
much leftover this do you have?
That's the one piece.
So can we get accents off of the concrete within the facade?
Yeah.
Yeah, great, awesome.
Greg, are you suggesting the left or the right?
The left.
The lighter
This
one?
one here, with this and this.
So the bigger panels are in the horizontal banded approach. This is the material we're showing between the windows.
Yep.
To create that
To
band.
create that contrast.
Yeah.
So and these are close enough, and if you look at the library building next to Town Hall, it has a brick that is fairly well matched to the stone.
Mhm.
That's in it's got heavy rustication to it. So, if there's brick that recalls the red stone, we can use that. And so that's the strategy that's shown up there. That's really affordable.
Yeah.
This is going to be a little more expensive, not as much as a stone.
But even only on the entrance even, I don't think we need that in the back. I think we use this.
Yep.
Power on the
But
windows,
we can
use that.
get bigger panels of this.
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
talking big chunks.
Remember as well, like the library, remember all those copper panels?
Yeah.
That's what the metal's gonna look like over time, not directly the same, but the look of that metal after time.
Yep.
So
And if you buy a replacement panel, even the same color, it won't look the same.
just, it's like you
So,
said, you need
if we
these
could-
accent features, absolutely, you
Bring
gotta
up the
break up.
cameras, we'll look at the
Just
library.
things to keep in mind.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like tornadoes coming into the rotary.
You're getting carried away, Gordon.
What about the stone base?
Ryan's driving the ship now.
This one's got a nice, sort of depth to it. It picks up the pink. You could go lighter
And where's that gonna be again? Like what part of the bottom?
Just
Oh, on the
base.
bottom?
the entire building.
Yeah, around the bottom.
Around the bottom, and we raise it maybe 16 inches.
Because the mowers are gonna hit it,
Are there options other than granite? Granite.
it'll be bulletproof at the base.
This is like a weather or a water course, right? Here.
No, just a base course. So
Can you use precast there?
in the ground, no.
No.
No, it's got, we couldn't even use a sandstone in the ground because it'll just wick moisture and effloresce. So granite is as dense as you can get. It's fairly local. It's from Maine. So we use it on virtually every school.
I know, to go around the entire.
What's this? So Birchland,
Granite countertop.
I know.
Birchland, that's concrete block, right?
700.
Yeah, and so
That decorative block around.
probably as little as you want to do
Yeah.
is 8 inches above the ground, 8 inches below
It's,
the ground.
it can't be stone.
That's because it sits on a shelf
Right here, Joe, look at.
below the ground. And, we'll see, half of that
Eligible to
16-inch panel above the ground.
Birchland Park, is that what?
But it would be so minimal, you wouldn't even really notice it on the building.
Yeah.
That's not granite though, at Birchland.
No, and that's
No,
taller.
it's
Exactly,
It's poured.
it's purely functional.
We can't do just poured concrete.
That's a slab.
There's other, there is a domestic red sandstone product too. I used that on another project.
We're gonna pour this
Cornerstone
slab,
has
and
it.
we're gonna put this on the outside of it.
Was that from upstate New York?
Yeah, this is the
I think it's
Have to use
Utah.
cladding on the outside of the concrete slab. Yes, okay.
Would you say,
You're
John,
right,
you
yeah.
have a domestic?
Yeah, there's a domestic red sandstone that I've used before, Cornerstone. Wisconsin wholesales it. I think it comes out of Utah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Less expensive than the granite.
Indian.
I-
No, this is,
You can't put that in the ground, right?
no, this is for, in lieu of the Indian.
So we'd want to look at the color, the consistency,
Yeah.
that we'd have to get samples. So that'd be great if you could forward that info. We can do a little more research.
Yeah.
Like the letter.
Talking about. And then we're
Oh,
starting.
Yeah, we talked about
Or do you mean
Yeah.
the vertical versus the horizontal?
Yes, that's what I
Okay.
mean. I just,
So you prefer the vertical?
My goodness.
I'm not sure anymore.
Oh,
I
okay.
said horizontal.
You know what,
That's why I
then
said-
Well, no, I wasn't trying to talk her out of it. I was originally vertical until the final discussion.
Watching after this. Click. Right?
I think you go around horizontal.
Yeah.
It changes.
When you're still sitting there.
I changed as I went
When I
around.
get that.
that's interesting.
Jimmy's gonna go.
Second, like, oh.
Oh, we have summer concerts already? That kind of concert? Oh, sweet. Oh, great.
From last night.
Oh, where are we gonna put that in the new design? Do we figure that out yet?
They haven't, they said they haven't figured it out.
Okay.
From an artist.
Oh my gosh.
You don't have to.
Another school.
No, it's just
now
piece of
has
paper.
On purpose?
Front and it turns the corner of the.
I would know.
I've just never bothered to peel
Don't
it
pull
off.
it off!
Why not?
Yeah, right.
The dining one picture.
Flip it like pass like a Band-Aid.
The double vestibule.
All right.
I know.
You're out of order.
Okay.
Us, Brian. You can cut it out.
Okay. This picture, the vertical seemed to look better, but I know that people in the front picture.
That reminds me like of Agawam Middle School. It's like, yeah,
No, which one? This one?
that one. Like that one I don't mind, but that's horizontal, right?
No.
No, that's
Oh, I could go with that.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
That's what I'm talking about. I think.
You have a diagonal option.
You have a diet.
How about horizontal in the front, vertical on the back?
I think
Like the regularity of this in the front,
I like
it's
that.
facing the town.
Yeah,
Wait, that's
See, I like
vertical.
that.
That's vertical.
That's vertical.
I know.
Okay, yeah.
Pam's twisting my wrist or arm behind.
Well,
over.
right, because it does,
What about vertical in the front, horizontal on the rest?
right.
Mullet.
But you like the vertical in the back.
Yeah, that's just one person.
No, I was with you. I was two
okay.
people.
The back looks like Agawam Middle School though.
I haven't seen Agawam Middle School.
Go take a drive. Like,
now we're gonna be driving around looking.
I know.
That's how I get ice cream.
But if you,
And
the
the
accent,
That one. That
see?
doesn't. That's,
Agawam Middle School. Go drive. You'll see it.
really, that.
I like that.
I like that.
No?
No.
I don't know.
I like the.
I like
I
that.
like that color scheme too.
Oh, you're thinking because how the window is set up there? You think that's 70s?
Yeah, because the
Yeah. All right.
verticalness.
How's the vertical look with the blinds? Give me that
Hey, you
picture
can
again.
Take those
Which one?
lines off at the top of those windows.
Vertical south face.
That's it. Up on top.
Yes.
So you kind of lose the blinds a little bit in the horizontal.
I like the
There's a close-up view of that.
horizontal on the back.
Do a close up of the.
I've been consistent.
Go forward.
Can you go forward?
We're never going to get to the communication section.
I know.
Victoria's.
I know.
Gotta go.
Right there.
Oh, Victoria's got to go?
No, Jamie's gotta go.
Oh, Jamie's got to
So that's
go. Going.
vertical.
We do have to discuss.
I don't like the way I like the way they look on the horizontal.
Horizontal
window better.
Yes. Horizontal back, vertical front. It's making everybody happy. Right?
That's what we're.
Yeah, there you go.
No, actually, you like.
Looks better because the.
Don't convince him otherwise, Gordon.
Just
Come on.
Ryan, can you flip back to
Is that
the
okay?
other? Yeah, that one. Thank you.
Can you do that though?
I don't like the way the blinds look on the vertical windows in the back.
Yeah, it's like crossing.
Yeah, something's bugging me.
Yeah, because it's not consistent.
Yeah.
The horizontals, everything's.
You kind of lose them.
Can we do that? Horizontal
Go to
on
the-
three
go
sides
back.
and vertical on one?
See,
Yeah,
because
see,
they're part
you
of it.
kinda like
They're
lose
part
it.
of that opening, I guess you could say that.
And you know what it is?
Yeah.
On the
Vertical.
2-story.
On the front, horizontal, the other three sides.
As long as horizontal in the south. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, or
Well, that's.
other side.
The line.
At the point where we can shift it.
Okay.
And even if you wanted to have in the
You two just said
Courtyard.
two different things, though.
the same on both sides, they're
Yes.
somewhere along the end
You
elevation.
went vertical.
He said vertical in the front, horizontal in the back.
Back. What'd you say?
Horizontal in the back because
Yeah.
it blends more with the blind.
With the shades.
That's shady.
It's our back entrance off the cafeteria with that.
Are we?
No.
Yes, because it's vertical.
No, that's a
No,
la
no,
carte.
that can be any.
That's a la carte, Bruce. Remember?
Yes. Nope.
A la carte right
We'll
there.
name it after you, Bruce. This is the Bruce South Terrace elevation.
All right, I think you've given us.
A la Fenny.
Right?
Do you need a?
Yeah, well, how do we,
Certified metal versus porcelain.
Oh, for pricing.
For pricing.
Yes.
Talking $500,000 difference.
Question, yeah.
No, that was from brick to metal.
No, I think it's metal to porcelain.
so what do you need us to?
Oh, brick to
Yes,
vote?
really, before we
And again-
sidetracked anything.
So the delta would be half of that
I guess they're gonna start.
From
from metal to.
From metal, it would be $250,000.
So, okay, I don't want to speak out of school here.
brick to porcelain, 1.5 or 2.5,
Brick to porcelain is a lot. It's 3 times.
3 times. Yeah.
Okay.
So why not all brick?
Porcelain.
Yeah,
Well,
so
that's what he was explaining at the beginning, was we can dial it back to all brick.
Exactly, I would
Yeah.
go with what
That's
you
the
want
fallback.
to price.
The metal and the brick, like you were doing, and then we can scale back.
do you like that scheme right there?
Yes.
The colors,
No.
the accent?
No.
No?
Well, wait a minute, let's not get, we were all just talking about materials now, right?
This is the south.
Helen,
Yes.
just rein everybody in.
Yes.
We are going horizontal.
Yeah, I know,
South.
that's, yes.
No, we're just talking colors here.
Colors.
Pricing purposes.
Oh, yeah, the colors are fine.
All right.
Right, for pricing purposes, predominantly brick building with the upper elements, a different material, rain screen material, metal or porcelain.
Metal.
Metal.
As long as it's high enough that lacrosse
Right.
balls can't hit it.
Okay,
Can we do the porcelain as like a the CM upgrade at the end? Like if you find a bunch of extra money?
no.
That's a good one.
I gotta find a bunch of.
Look, there's a lot of money.
So metal would be the next one anyway, right?
Yeah, next one up, right?
So that's all we can
What are you talking
responsibly
about,
go.
using the porcelain on the upper accents?
Yes, instead of the metal.
Right.
We're not big fans of the metal, but cost prohibitive.
I think maintenance wise, the metal will probably be easier to clean and stuff versus a porcelain.
But would brick be even easier?
We can dial back to.
I know, but why not just say brick and go a different color, save $500,000
Just,
today?
it's gonna be a lot of brick.
Yeah, a lot.
Lot of brick.
If we go a third color,
Third color brick.
You don't wanna make screens out of brick either. You want a lightweight
Make a difference.
material,
You can overdo it.
but
stationary wall.
if not metal and we go all brick, would it be a third color or a second? Keep
Oh,
the
would
same?
it be I think it would be a third color.
Yeah. We use that gold one.
It'll be differentiated from.
Yeah. Which we could accomplish that is what I'm saying. So if we could save $500,000, do better maintenance, last longer than the metal.
Do that now until we have to do
But
that.
it lasts longer than the metal. That's
Better maintenance, Bruce.
what I'm saying. Stay with, just stick with brick.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah.
I think we should go with the other ones that we talked about, because what they said was we kind of get a vision, something that we feel is affordable, but then if we have to cut, then we've got some places to take off and go to all brick.
I know, but I think we're concerned about the metal.
Well, and that wasn't,
We can
I was just
cost it.
ask Bruce.
But like you said, I think
Let's cost-
where it is, I think will be okay.
And he was supposed to give us some schools that maybe used it, so we could,
And just
our own research.
everywhere.
I'm fairly certain that we just put it on DeBerry Elementary School in Springfield.
Just put it on, so it's.
Yeah, I just texted my
Okay.
people to find.
I was hoping to find somebody who has had it for a couple of years, so we
Yeah.
can see how it
Well,
looks.
DeBerry's
and-
been up for a
No.
little. No, just,
Haven't got
Got it, right?
CFO yet. It's
They have it?
just about done.
Did you guys
I'm thinking of the other one.
We've been using it in the last, say, 5 years.
Oh, Putnam
Tested
have
it
it?
because the cost is.
Putnam has metal. I don't know if they did it, but there's a lot of metal at Putnam.
I know, I just like to.
Yeah, I don't like
I'll
that.
find out
Meadow
more
and
about
Granby.
more long-term.
Thank you.
I don't know how that looks.
You'll be fine.
We have a little bit of everything on DeBerry. Brick,
Yeah.
metal panels,
Yeah.
porcelain.
Here's
Putting a
I'll be
brick
107,
wall
so.
on the top of the roof as a screen
Yeah.
is gonna be more expensive, or just probably as costly versus
That's what I'm thinking.
sheet metal.
Should we,
Less, I don't know.
Move on.
why don't we do this? We carry porcelain and we ask the estimators, they love this, for
Yep.
Metal and brick.
Please price all the options.
Alternates.
Oh, geez.
So are we realistically gonna use porcelain?
Oh, we should.
Not 3 times.
Actually, it's probably the most durable,
right.
Porcelain?
more durable than metal.
Yep.
I mean, it's super hard, and I think it's going to be easy to clean and more forgiving in terms of how it looks.
Yep, hose and pressure wash.
Especially 30 years from now.
But is it affordable? That's,
All right, let's price them.
if you find that out, you go to the next one down.
Okay.
Metal.
Okay.
I don't think I would put in the plastic panel, like an FRP.
I'd rather do all brick.
Right, but I'm talking about that middle level instead of metal.
The resin one you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Um,
It's hard to come by?
It is almost, I think, as much as the porcelain.
Oh, the stuff that I wrote.
So in my mind, and it looks very flat. It looks very, unless you have like a wood grain on it.
Yeah.
Which
way
kind
are you going
of
there,
feels
Ryan?
weird.
Trying to find the materials.
I don't like
In the beginning.
There we go.
Ah, there it is.
There he is.
We're gonna price the three then, Alan? Is that what you're saying?
There was one with
Yeah,
porcelain.
I think we're saying we'll carry porcelain as the
Porcelain.
base with,
Price the
Metal.
metal.
Metal as the alternate.
Holy crap.
Porcelain right here.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Nice.
Oh, yeah, I mean, all day long. If we could.
Yeah.
yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Go back to the X and Y axis again and let's find the porcelain.
Oh, I know where it is.
Okay.
I have good taste. Did I mention that already?
You did.
And then you pick that.
Also wanted
The orange.
Boom.
Let's see where the market is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Porcelain market's down, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Next, we got to vote on anything else or no?
No, I
Or
think
do
we
we
were.
didn't vote on anything?
Yes, I think we were moving into new business and we wanted to talk about, thank you yet, don't go there yet. Just talk a little bit about summer communications, because that's what we're in. We know we're not going to do a forum. We talked briefly about this at the school committee meeting, how we have some quick hitting items that maybe can be out there and people can watch them, see them, hear them at their leisure. I'm thinking using LCAT, which is why I invited Don to be part of this discussion, and wanted to get people's thoughts on what should the topics be in terms of how we divide this up, because the confusion seems to be right now centered on obviously the cost, what MSBA's part in this is, because I think we had one question this week around someone saying, well, the taxpayer shouldn't take 100% of this on. And they're not realizing then that the MSBA is taking a certain percentage of this on. Capital planning in general for the town. There's a misunderstanding of timing and the process of that. And the fact that we looked at the base option at the beginning, but we haven't then generated that out as a full project. It still is a list of just capital projects that total to somewhere around 100 to 110 million. It's not a project in and of itself.
Do we have that list?
We do.
Yeah,
We actually
we have a
Ben
process.
just sent it out to Mr. Levine. And so we have the list and we sent him all the cost estimates, but Ben also explained to him that you're going to have increased costs on this because it's not set up as a project. You know, all the soft costs haven't been estimated and so forth. And if you went that route, and this is the part that people seem to misunderstand, you don't have MSBA help with you. So now the taxpayers are taking on 100% of it. And your time frame expands out. You know, people keep saying 10 years.
Probably more than that.
I would say you're looking at 20 or more years to accomplish that list. And that list does nothing for the classrooms.
Makes them worse.
Simply, sorry?
So it makes them worse.
Right.
Smaller.
Yeah.
That's what I was just gonna
I
say.
think that's something that should be focused on, because people that are of the mindset, look at, let's just, patch it up and
Paint on it.
looks great.
Right.
It's solid, it's got good bones. Let's just go the 100 million route and be done with it.
Right.
But they don't understand,
It's not 100.
the HVAC alone is going to drop ceilings.
Right.
That you still have to insulate externally and internally. It's going to shrink rooms. Your quarters aren't going to get any, they'll get smaller, won't they, a little bit, the quarters?
Faces and
Those are the things they need to get a visual on in their head, I think.
Keep in mind, yeah,
Slightly less money than a brand new build, we're not really getting a good product out of it.
And only 2 months to work.
Right.
And keep in mind, it takes me 2 years to implement the project.
Spend money to send
I
the
understand.
out.
Because need the funding, then I gotta go through the designer selection process, pick an engineer, then obviously do the bid docs and time it so I'm ready for the following summer to do the construction.
Rehab of that magnitude can only be done in 10 weeks,
And at the end of the day,
if you're lucky.
at the end of the day,
You have an old
we
building.
have a 100-year-old building
Right,
that with some shiny
right,
parts.
which is,
Shiny parts.
No, we're back here. Somebody said that at the last forum. We had the same conversation 25 years ago and kicked the can down the road. I mean, that's our option, is to do it again.
And that's another point that I think that everyone needs to remember and understand is that if they vote this project down, we will not be able to get into MSBA for quite a number of years. That is just a known fact.
And that's a great point that, you have, 10 days?
Correct.
And it's 10 days, just to be clear, 10 days to provide them with a plan of how you're going to address it. Go ahead, Don.
Well, so the 10 days,
Been doing his research.
so I want to get back real quickly to what's the plan in the next 10 days for us to figure out what are the messages, articulate those messages, and what are the platforms by which we're going to get them out. I think clearly explaining, that the base repair is not a project. But the 10-day sort of grace period, if the vote fails, and I think the wording by the MSBA is you have 10 days to submit a plan to the MSBA that provides a remedy for the failed vote.
Yeah, and we don't have that.
Well, it'd be substantial value engineered, right? We're gonna cut X, Y, Z, the scope, and
Yeah, but that won't guarantee the vote will pass.
it's not gonna.
No, but
Oh, and you don't have time after 10 days. You can't vote again anyway. How are you going to do that?
Yeah.
There's no election.
Well, you'd have to set I don't know the exact language, but I think you're given a certain period of time where you could
Hold another election.
have another vote.
It's not going to change the vote, really. I mean, realistically, it's not going to change.
Historically, even if the vote were to fail, no matter how much time we took, if you're doing it again in 6 months, I don't.
No, but I'm just talking about in terms of MSBA process.
Yeah, no, I'm.
The chances are 90% that they are going to say you have to file
Back in
a
line.
statement of interest and go back. Because the chances of them approving whatever you come up with is frankly,
Well, and we'd have to
Next to
drastically
zero, right, John?
cut the cost in half to make it palatable to the voter, and we can't do that. It's physically impossible.
So Monument Mountain just went through this. They had a failed vote 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 12 years ago. Monument Mountain and Great Barrington,
Great Barrington.
regional.
they just got put back into the program.
Yeah.
But they have to foot the whole bill for the feasibility study.
right, you only.
But you just said it. 10 years ago.
10, 12 years ago. Yeah.
10, 12 years ago. Doesn't it feel-
I don't know the exact date.
But they still were in line then to get back in.
Correct.
How many
So-
years have been in
So
the
you're saying
SOI?
it's 10 years, approximately.
right.
That's how long it took
It's
us
not
this
gonna be
time.
1 year, so you might as well say 10.
And you're dealing with the feasibility study.
You don't get any help on feasibility, and by then it'll be 1.7 or higher.
Right.
Now, would that affect the town as a whole or just the high school project? So if the vote fails and smarter people than us down the road say, oh, we need a new elementary school, do we still have to wait, or could we do a statement of
You'd
interest?
have to go through the statement of
You have
interest.
to put your statement of interest in for the elementary school, so it's just in the process anyway.
We could do it on the high school. Is there a cool down period, like 2 years or something, after if we get a failed?
No, I don't-
When can we resubmit?
You can, but it's not gonna go anywhere.
That's what I'm saying. We can resubmit, but they're going to put us on the back burner.
I think Monument Mountain.
Nice way to put it.
But,
Yeah, for them, cool
Because
down.
they need to, the taxpayers are.
No, that's what I'm saying, though. We can resubmit as soon as we want, but that we're just going to push
we
it
just
off.
researched this for Belchertown. There's like 1,700 public schools in Massachusetts. And they take 10 to 15 schools a year into the program.
Right.
That's important. That we
That's
over 100 years theoretically.
right, to get to all of them. And they don't last 100 years.
Yeah.
So one of the plans that I think came up at the school committee, whenever it came up, was to replicate in a way the programs you and Gordon did when you came in during COVID and, you know, take one topic. So in my thinking, what for the first topic might be, if we move ahead with the process that we're in now, and we spent most of the meeting talking about.
Start positive.
What is that process? What are you actually voting on? And we touched on that at the beginning to clarify. This is the vote. This is what you're actually voting to exclude this from the limitations of 2.5. You're not appropriating money and you're not approving the expenditure for the project. You're saying, yes, we will allow the town to work outside of the limitation on my tax bill provided by Proposition 2.5. The town can go outside of that to pay for the bond to do this project, high school project at 180 Maple Street. That's it. I think we got to clarify that. And then say that will be eligible for reimbursement by the MSBA in some measure, whatever that measure is going to be, whatever the percentage ends up being of the eligible cost. And that's one topic. And if we can do that in 5 minutes, perfect. If you can do it in 8 minutes, okay. 10 minutes, you're lost, people.
Right. Yeah, true.
Topic 2, why is a base repair as provided in the material that we've all provided, why is that not a project? Right? It's not a project. It won't be a project. It's not a fallback position for the town. It is just a list of costs.
It's a frame of reference.
What?
It's a
frame of reference that was required by the MSBA.
Yes.
Right.
That's why it's there.
That's correct.
It wasn't provided because we looked at it as a real option.
We did look at it.
But as soon as you looked at it, you saw this is
absurd.
So all the work to make it a project, to phase it, to understand the time frames, to understand the cost of adding those time frames of modular classrooms for the kids.
Yep.
None of that is factored into those numbers.
Right.
We got to explain that to people.
Yeah.
Because there are people who think, well, if we vote no on this project, we can do the base repair.
Yep.
It's meaningless.
Right.
But we got to explain that. That's topic 2. Do that in 5 minutes, 7 minutes, we're done.
This was my point the whole time, right? Plan B is really not even a plan
Not
yet.
a plan.
And if you put Plan B into a plan, it's going to make Plan A look very good.
So just start with those 2, because I think there's probably potential for 3 or 4 more, right?
Yep.
But if you start with those 2, we could get that certainly get that on LCAT as a 4 or 5 minute video on the YouTube channel by next week, right?
Next week.
Well, today's what?
Oh, vacation.
Gonna tape it on a float during the parade? I'll do that with
Next week, man.
Podcast on the
Next week, by Friday? I'm working. Anyway,
Here, Don.
I'm not.
you gotta be out there. Oh, you're not gonna be here. All right. Well, but whatever.
I'm here marching. You can do it on Tuesday.
I'll
Camera.
walk up with a thing with a microphone with you on the float.
That's right.
Monday.
Anyway, I think
maybe.
that we should do that. But I'm not saying we limit this to LCAT videos. So I think
Podcast.
how else does the town, and that's, I guess, the other point I just want to make, because I'm doing this as representing information being promulgated by the town. Its objective is not advocating that we do one thing or another. People need to have clear information to make an intelligent vote. But they don't have that yet.
No.
And so whatever a committee that is sort of taking the ball and running with and sort of promoting that option, they have their own work to do. But I want to sort of carve this out as using town resources to provide information in an objective, clear way.
Right.
And however, there may be other ways to do that. We talked about originally maybe doing this in some sort of graphic form.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's still doable. How do you publish that? Do we carve out a little different sort of space on the web page? Because the web page right now has got all the information, but
people aren't.
Man, if you haven't been following the ball,
Right.
Maybe those little
you
videos.
you might as well not go to the webpage.
So if we have a list of those projects you said that sort of answered the questions that came up on the last, I mean, we can throw together an estimate of a time frame of what this is going to look like and some sort of kind of inflation contingency.
And I told Don I would help him out.
Right.
Try to.
So I want to start to pull that together and get.
So that may take a little bit longer than between now and Monday.
Helen, are you worried at all?
Monday, I was thinking the end of the week, but I'm not thinking.
The laws
take off on
about how we're presented.
Wednesday and don't come back till.
Right.
But we'll do it for the.
Say that again,
I'm
John.
not worried about it.
No.
No, I'm not worried about it, John.
So they're almost.
No.
Okay.
Hold on a second. We've got
Right.
But what?
professional people here that can provide advice to us, so I think we should hear them out.
Well, we had that whole seminar with the guy from the state about what information you can
Correct.
provide and what you can't provide. So,
But you can provide information. We're not saying vote
Right.
yes or no.
yeah, facts, right? So,
These are facts.
Well, we're saying our opinion. I'm willing to put my opinion out there. People elected me to represent them in this town. For me to hold back on my opinion.
School.
Yeah, let them come after me for it, Pam. Because I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm not going to tell you what you should do. I've been perfectly informed on all this.
What does that do for the whole committee if one person's?
Oh, I'm not talking about going rogue. I'm just saying that for us to go in a video and go like, well, it doesn't make sense to do this. It makes sense to do this. I'm not afraid of that.
But Greg, I think you're saying if somebody comes and has a conversation with you, you're going to, of course, give your opinion, but.
I'm saying on these videos.
What's the point?
Because you
Well,
can't do.
No, all we're doing is.
Resources, so it's not even.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Resources.
Yeah, it's
Wait a minute. We're just saying that if not, the base repair project, we shouldn't do. I can't say
No, we
that.
want to
No,
get that idea out so everybody has the
But you can
information.
say this idea is lunacy. We're not going to do it. We're going to do this one.
I don't think we can say that.
We're not saying that. We want to show what that plan actually looks like.
This is really what a base repair is. It's a frame of reference. It's not
Right.
a project in and of itself.
has your yes committee gained any traction?
A little bit.
Yeah, they're gaining some traction.
What about National Night Out? You did a booth last year, right?
Yeah, we'll do another booth.
I don't agree with it because to say that I can't tell the taxpayers of this town, this is what I think.
You can, you can't just.
Resources.
Why?
Resources.
Because
I sit here on a school committee meeting, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
I
but-
say it at every school committee meeting. This is
You're not on.
MSBA doesn't reimburse you for your time.
You're not swaying a
Telling you what you're
swaying a
supposed to
vote at the school committee meeting.
okay. I'll follow.
All right.
I mean, I think we're overreacting. I
Greg,
think,
I'm not, all I'm doing is, I'm not telling you not to do it. All I'm telling you is,
that's what I'm saying, John.
need to.
If I went and did it, you're not going to be upset with me.
I don't
Right.
care.
That's what I'm saying. And MSBA at the end, if they go, Greg, don't do that again. Well, we don't do it again. But to say,
It won't be MSBA. It will be the anti-yes people.
Office of Inspector General.
It's going to be people who are looking for something
Mind
to report to the
project
Attorney General.
anything like this that has these sort of complexities, political complexities,
Should always check.
might
Think
provoke
I think.
some individuals
at the pick.
Yeah.
We're still here.
some sort of transgressing that limit
Yeah.
and using that
To sink us.
the whole thing.
I would suggest, and I know poor Victoria is
I know.
patiently waiting, you put together a plan of what you'd like to do and we vet it. Just as Victoria has done with the pamphlets and let's just
Okay.
Do it right.
be careful.
Yeah.
That's all.
Hold the line. Got it.
Helen stole my thunder there. I think exactly. I think what Don is proposing is something that we most likely would want to script, so we could just hand that over to the authorities at B and just get the okay on it. And I mean, me personally, I don't think it sounds like I don't see any red flags.
Just remember that the MSBA has, I'm sure the Ethics Committee has a software that anytime any article goes in the newspaper,
They do.
likes it.
And
We get phone calls, right? Well, what's going on in East Long Meadow?
it's not really,
you get the call, not me.
it's not really, that first one's not even about the MSBA. It's about the fact that you're explaining what base repair actually meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also think you might want to.
I could do that whole thing without saying MSBA.
Civics 101 piece about how capital planning is done, how the budget.
That's important.
Because
people don't understand.
Process.
It's
When I go.
I don't know how relevant
Project.
because it's not going to happen.
It's going to cost
What's
the town
relevant?
more money to do
Every
the road
time.
repair over the time period allotted for all these projects, it's gonna cost you more to do that than it is for a new building.
So that's
That's what
perfect.
needs to be conveyed.
But that has to come out too.
Objectively, that needs to be
This is
put
what
in front of the voter.
When something
Objectively,
gets,
yes.
a project goes into that format.
And how it'll starve the.
How are we ever gonna fund $110 million?
Like, this is just we're gonna gather that information and people are gonna go.
When's the
"Oh,
last $7 million project we got approved through
I
capital?
know, we're not gonna do the what if thing.
Right.
I know,
Just
but it
gonna
doesn't
put the
even-
information
yeah,
out there.
No, and that's another thing,
Yeah.
exactly. It's
Why
never
don't
gonna
we,
That
happen.
never happened, that's my
Exactly.
point.
Why don't we start scripting the first one? The first one is explaining exactly when we've talked about base repair, what that is, and that it's not a project. We'll start scripting
Yeah,
that.
I think that's fair.
Do you, so,
Don,
you want to do that one as the first one, or do you want to do the vote for the November vote and the debt exclusion and clarifying that as the
Let's
first?
do them both, Don, why not two of them?
The debt exclusion's faster, right?
Let's knock them both out.
Knock them both out and do one bang bang.
Who's reading the script?
Well, I have,
You don't want me to
so, you know, I sent it.
Exactly.
Even Spielberg.
Dan,
So, Gordon,
Going outside the lines over.
All right, you have the script?
I have a script.
Okay, and you're gonna pass it
Victoria's
back?
trying to talk.
we and Don will
Connect.
All
do
right.
what we need.
Love it.
But I think we're partway there, but so I appreciate the position John's trying to make.
Yeah.
I've been approaching it that way. I think that's how I want to approach it.
Right.
I have limitations
Well,
on
this
what
is
LCAT can do,
information.
political
Right.
nature.
It's just information. So keep it straight up.
First,
Okay,
I think Victoria's still.
thank you, guys.
I think Tom should be our spokesperson.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, I have some information in we have a draft FAQ and we have some draft answers to both of those questions, so.
Oh,
I can
beautiful.
send that to you, Don.
Would you, you'll
Yeah.
share that with us, Victoria?
Yep,
Beautiful.
I actually sent it to you, you probably didn't get to it, but I sent it earlier today. So.
You have to say that online. We could have just said, yeah, sure, it's coming your way. It's still, the day is young, Victoria,
It is.
All right, Jamie, you gotta go.
except for Jamie, she's got to go.
Do we have a date for the next SBC? I know we have one scheduled for August. Do we have a July meeting
We
scheduled?
do not have a July meeting scheduled.
Helen, did you guys get all the information you needed from us tonight to do your estimating or were we all over the place?
Well, we were definitely all over the place.
I think we made some decisions.
Run with
Yeah.
it.
Right?
Yeah, I say we, Brian.
Yeah, you sure?
Thank you for bringing all of that. It's very helpful.
I just,
Brian,
Yeah, no, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
you haven't been here in a while.
It is a lot, yeah.
We're a lively group.
I just don't want to hold you up either.
We're,
You know.
I think.
Did you want to try a July meeting? I mean, people might be doing vacations, but
Sure,
uh,
understood. Let's get one on the books.
we'll get one on the books.
We have to do a pool meeting to make decisions as well, right? Is that timely?
I guess the other thing I should probably report on is that we're going to break apart the Inspector General request for CM at risk.
Ah,
To be school only and then pool only
Right.
you are.
for the towns.
I think you have to, right? Because it's two separate projects.
Ben, well, yeah, I think Ben thought that
Can you do
it could have gone,
for the pool, even though it's a separate project?
Yeah.
Really?
yeah, over
5 million.
five.
Yeah, something like that.
Um,
Yeah, but it's kind of, we're going to choose the same firm, so it's kind of ridiculous.
Right.
You're not going to have two firms on.
27th of July? That work for anybody?
I'm away.
I'm going to see Old Dominion, so no.
Nice. Okay. We don't have to, I guess we don't
What
have to
happened?
be on a Thursday. Greg's going to see Old Dominion.
Oh.
Projects were.
Anybody wants to go? It's in Albany. Yeah.
20 what?
20th of July?
Oh, you meant to.
I'm on vacation.
Oh, no,
Virginia.
the band, yeah.
You can have it
Vacations.
anyway.
No, I know we can, but we
I
like,
mean, somebody's gonna be on vacation every day you pick in July.
Just pick a day.
I don't know what works for all of you. We need you here.
It's okay,
20th?
sure. Then it leaves a little space between then and the 15th. We're meeting on the 15th of August, that's a Tuesday, yeah.
You're talking 20th of July.
Talking 20th
It's the 15th reconciliation. Or?
Can we go early in the day? I think
of, no, that's
I'm here, but I'm not here on that Friday.
yeah, the reconciliations.
That's a Friday, the 20th?
No, the
It's a Thursday, sorry.
I'm on.
Timing thing.
Gordon's trying to leave early.
1 o'clock
Trying to leave early.
for the weekend. We're trying to get out.
Exactly.
Trying to leave early so I could look at emails.
Everybody's getting punchy.
What time, Gordon?
3 o'clock, does that work?
I thought you wanted early.
Oh, yeah, we can go earlier, yeah.
We got SLT at 1.
Oh,
Maybe you won't have that
Yeah, maybe we should move.
on the same day?
right.
Because are you trying to get a pool one in there too?
I don't know, we're gonna do pool same day. I think we get more attendance that way.
Yeah,
What day are we?
so
20th?
July 20th?
Do we need pool equipment figured out before then? When do we?
did that not happen on Tuesday?
No, it didn't.
No.
No, we only had 2 of us.
There wasn't a
Oh,
quorum.
sorry.
We made all the decisions, but not a.
Like that?
You could do pool at 2.
Cut that out.
I mean, if we're gonna hold pool to an hour, you could do pool at
You
2.
do pool in an hour.
That's fine, but you're gonna need a pool meeting sooner to settle the equipment because. it
Sooner than
has-
July 20th?
I won't be here either.
You won't have.
I'm on vacation from the 20th.
Got it? When, Helen, do you suggest?
I think we were aiming to get the pool pieces to the estimators on August 1st. Now, that's a little bit of a random date, but we were trying to just separate the estimating activities.
So, school building, we can do it on the 20th. And school, or pool, you would recommend what?
What vote are you worried about? Proprietary or?
No.
Choices.
Yeah.
Tough thing is I'm not here the week before.
Yeah.
I'm out the week of the 14th.
Okay, Gordon's.
I mean, that's fine. I'm, whatever kind of pool, week of the 12th.
How many are on that committee?
I think the issue at the pool meeting last, or was it this week? But we didn't have like Bruce and Gordon and facilities decision makers, and they were looking for recommendations on like filtration systems and.
Meet now.
I read the whole thing.
Okay.
Meet at 5:30 today.
You need to have a company service this equipment. Our staff is not going to be able to do that. So that's something you need to think about is the regenerative media
Contracted
filter.
services.
Is that what we talked about?
We talked about.
Using that?
Yes,
It's
that's,
a great,
yeah.
I don't want to confuse everybody, but it's a great piece of equipment, but it's not something that any of our staff or pool or high school staff are going to be able to operate.
Did we plan on that though already?
Yeah, we were talking
So
about.
like you said, I just want people to be aware of.
You're okay with that system?
Absolutely.
We'll just have to fund maintenance.
Yes.
You'd have to do contracted services, basically.
It'd be good to have you have a conversation, maybe just with the pool guy.
Yep, because I read this whole.
Because you have a lot of great suggestions on local suppliers and local reps.
Sure.
I think that's maybe the conversation to have is if there's.
So circle back to scheduling the.
Yeah, let's get.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, see, we got
I think.
You have that list though, Jill, for pool thing, bullets? Remember we hit them all at the
I think
end?
we can do both on the.
Yeah, I can.
Because you're not
Let's
gonna.
do that.
Run them by him.
Send them, yeah, send them.
Thing on-
Yeah.
If he can't come, at least we know he's cool with them.
All right, so
Okay.
7:20 at 3 PM. If everybody can do that for school.
Can do that.
I'm on vacation.
20th, you're out. Don't worry about it. Don't even write it down.
And we'll do the pool at 2. Is that gonna work?
3 o'clock, you said?
3 o'clock for the school building committee.
And the pool building committee?
I can do pool earlier that day if people are there.
Maybe I could zoom in.
Where are you on?
Beach vacation.
Don't do.
Building committee at 2?
Yeah. Okay, we'll try pool building committee at 2. Okay.
But we need another pool building before that.
Or
Maybe we can do it by email and then we can just confirm the
Yeah.
decisions when we have a
Yeah.
quorum, but we can kind of know what we're
On
going
the
to.
20th?
what we can get done
Then email.
in between.
I'll get something.
Yeah, if we get his approval, Cora was here, I was here. Anyway, so.
That's an official
Vote.
No, I know.
And you're
We
gonna
still need 4 of us.
collaborate via email.
No, we'll need 4 of us at the meeting.
Collaborate.
And then.
Don't do it.
Don't collaborate, please.
We're gonna have to try again.
Before that?
Because we need to confirm the equipment, because it has to be on the engineering, and
Yep.
the engineering has to go into the cost.
I mean,
set.
if you can get it,
If you guys can schedule a meeting next week, that's because then I'm leaving the 8th for 2
Okay.
weeks.
Okay,
6th?
Yep,
I
that's
just won't
fine.
be here, but that's fine. That's, you
For the
guys should
pool.
have a quorum.
For the pool, yep.
EBC.
2 o'clock, 3 o'clock?
I can do 2, I can do 10 in the morning, I can do.
6 in the morning.
Oh, we have to get
flexible.
Nancy.
You can have sex.
What does that mean?
Start, we're gonna have to do a
5.
doodle poll again.
Don't do it.
Oh, gosh.
No, just set it up.
Okay.
I would check with Cora. She
Okay,
can make it,
Okay.
just set it.
okay.
We're talking the 6th?
6th.
6.
At what time?
2, 12,
8.
1.
That was a lot of different times.
What time will work for you guys?
Pick a time and we'll confirm with Mike Hancy.
All right, there you go.
What's good, you're.
8 o'clock in the morning?
What's that?
Yeah.
That's tough for these guys to travel here, though.
We're gonna have to.
Can you Zoom it? You can do a Zoom
Zoom it.
meeting?
Yeah, I can,
We can do a Zoom, right?
yeah, because he's,
Yeah, we'll just do a
Okay,
Zoom.
Zoom.
it would be better to zoom it.
Okay.
This will do it through me though, so that I can
Right.
record it.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
got it.
right.
Do a Zoom meeting, it'll be nice and easy.
Yes.
Are we doing 8 AM?
Yeah.
You on 8
We
a.m.
gotta reach out to.
Available whatever times.
Pick a
Let us
time,
know.
we'll try.
Well, I can be flexible. Bruce is flexible.
Okay.
Let us know what Mike can do.
Go for the 6th.
Check with Cora.
6th.
I'm flexible, 8 or 8:15. Either way.
All right. All right, so the school building committee is still on the 20th at 3 p.m. Pool building committee is going to be on the 6th, and all who can make it via Zoom, whatever time, because we're flexible.
Yes.
And they're not going to
We
collaborate via
gotta
email.
post that.
But wait a minute, yeah, how are we gonna post it if it's the 6th?
That's true.
We can
Post it. We have time.
No, you
Post it Monday.
Friday, Monday.
Monday,
Wednesday, yeah.
post it tomorrow.
As long as you.
The holiday in there is okay?
Wednesday, Thursday. If we do it Wednesday,
Can't
by
count
the time of the
Tuesday.
meeting,
So,
so
I mean, the
It's our holiday. and-
clerk's open tomorrow.
we can do it
Post it
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just need an
just
agenda.
gotta check with Cora
Yep.
and Mike.
Can I use the same agenda?
Yeah.
Are we gonna go
Hey,
through the
copy
whole
paste.
thing again?
No,
Thank you.
no.
Good. That was a long meeting.
All right, so just tell me what agenda.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Send me an
I mean,
agenda?
it's the same agenda.
Okay, so I'll use the agenda. Done.
I can update it and send it to you, Gordon,
Okay.
with the date.
So.
Copy Pam too, because
If the
not here
people
tomorrow.
weren't at the meeting, review the meeting, watch it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then you just
Take your,
make the motion and
Then
vote,
we'll do the votes at that meeting. In and out, I will do that.
right?
your homework.
At the 6th?
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna make I'm sure we're gonna have to review some stuff, but we can do it quicker.
He gave the whole presentation, you watch it online.
Right, but if Mike's coming with questions, people are gonna have questions, that's all. But yeah, I agree with you.
That's fine, I just.
Yeah,
wanna-
yeah.
Instead of doing the whole presentation over again.
Correct.
Yep.
Because you're allowed to vote on the basis of having one.
I don't need the whole.
That one's up already, the pool one?
Yeah.
Cool, yeah. Okay, we'll send them that way then, yeah.
Okay.
Good, awesome.
Okay, need a
Motion to adjourn?
motion to
Second.
adjourn. Okay, Ryan.
Aye.
motion to Adjourn. Tom, second. I don't think we have anybody online, so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passed.
Steve?
Steve had to
Oh, you beat the long.